Oh, there's Ed. I'm going to move Ed over.
Thank you. I'm just trying to get caught up on my emails.
I don't. There's Ed.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this 6E Commission meeting at 6:30 p.m. We are not quite have a quorum, but we'll wait a couple minutes to see if we can get another commissioner. Thanks for joining this evening, and please hang with us for a minute.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right.
Michael, can you make me a co-host, please?
Sure. Sorry for.
Michael, did you mention to the Mokers to not forget the enclave this month?
Oh, you got to remind me before we're on the call.
Ed from the enclave again.
Hi, Ed. Maybe we'll make a special effort for September.
So you know, there's the slogan is the enclave, so private no one even knows they're there.
Except for your neighbors across New Jersey Avenue.
That's right, except we know they're there.
Yeah. Okay. So, Madam Vice Chair, what do we do about approving an agenda when we don't have a
So
quorum?
why don't we, let's look for who, there's someone there from MPD. We can get them to begin at 6:31. So why don't we begin with the police report. We'll wait. Oh, there's Kevin. There's Kevin. Here we go. There's Kevin.
Okay.
All right, Kevin, unmute yourself.
All right. Is
Okay.
Patrick also?
Okay, great. Thanks, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Okay, let
Kevin
me
and
take
Patrick.
roll here. Okay,
Okay.
6001,
Present.
6002, he is absent. 6E03, Frank, he's coming on in about 15 minutes. 04, here, I am here. 6E05,
Here.
6E06, and 6E07.
Yeah.
Okay, Denise will not be, Karen, Denise will not be attending tonight.
Okay.
And we have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Okay, congrats. So I would like to move on to agenda item 7, which is approval of the agenda. I do have one correction to make to the agenda, at least one that I've seen so far. I'm running a little behind here, but we do have a request to move one of the agenda items a little bit later on in the agenda. I can respond to that individual. Someone who's currently on the agenda at item 15 would like to come a little bit later, and I think that we can be in support of that. So sliding them later down, probably around item 20, slipping them in after item 23 at around 8:45. There's one agenda update. Does anyone else have any feedback on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
I move to approve the July 5th, 2022 agenda.
And a second?
Second.
Oh, okay, I think Patrick was first on the second, so moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Kevin's green box little glowed, so when we got unanimous vote of the agenda. Okay, so we'll move 15 down after 23, and I will respond saying, please come at 8:45. All right, now hopefully that will give them some time. Okay, on to the next item. We have approval of the minutes. The minutes were taken by our minute taker, Karen, who circulated them to me. I circulated them to the commissioners. Edits were made and it was downloaded and recirculated back to Karen. So the minutes have been reviewed. Do we have any comments on the minutes?
Actually, Michael, I
Yeah.
had someone's name in there that I didn't know the spelling of it, Rita LaRue or something at the Department of Justice. Did you see that on page?
Yeah, I did see that, and honestly, like, I think I'm okay with just noting, not having to note that specific person, and
Okay.
just
Just reach out to the Department of Justice.
or a contact at the Department of Justice.
Okay.
I generally, when I do minutes, I don't put other people's names in it other than the commissioners, unless
Okay.
it's like for a very specific
Okay,
purpose.
all right, I will fix that then.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you for that update. So given that, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes for June of 2022.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote for the minutes. Okay. Let me just record those. Okay, now next up we have, I believe it's Philip McHugh. And unfortunately, I didn't note your rank. I apologize for that.
He's lieutenant.
Lieutenant McHugh. Welcome. So this is for 1D. This is the area south of New York Avenue. Feel free to give us an update on what's going on in your service area.
Sure. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. It's my first time attending this. I was recently promoted to lieutenant and sent back to the 1st District here, where I'm in charge of Sector 1, which is everything essentially from Mount Vernon Triangle down to the wharf. So looking at the map, that's the 60, 05, 06, and 07 are the 1D areas that I have primary responsibility for. So if you'd allow me just a brief moment to introduce myself, because I do look forward to working with all of you and getting to know you, and I'd just like to share a little bit of my background so you know where I'm coming from. My name is Phil. I'd appreciate it if you called me Phil. Just an average guy. I am a lieutenant. You asked what my rank was. I began my career with MPD in 2007 as a civilian employee working on then Chief Lanier's personal staff while I was finishing graduate school at American University. After that, I went to the academy and I came to 1D as an officer. I worked here as an officer, as a detective. Then I was selected for the homicide unit, where I served for several years investigating homicides around the city. Before being promoted to sergeant and coming back to 1D. I came back to 1D and ran our crime suppression team and worked in our violent crime hotspots around the district. I then was selected by former 1D commander, now Assistant Chief Morgan Kane. I served as her chief of staff for the last 2 years in the 2 bureaus that she's been appointed to lead. Learned a lot from her over the years and look forward to using those things that I learned in my new role here. Like I said, I was just promoted last month to rank of lieutenant and brought back to 1D to do some good work here with you all in keeping our community safe. So with that said, I will share some crime information with you related to the areas that I'm responsible for. Year to date, we are in the violent crime categories. We are the same place that we were last year. Everything is essentially the same as it was last year. Now, where we are seeing our numbers spike significantly, up over 50%, is our property crime, which I think is something that is of concern to everybody, as it should be. You know, violent crime often gets all of the attention, but property crime is just as serious to those that are affected by it. And one of the things that we're seeing a huge spike in is stolen vehicles and thefts of valuables left in vehicles. And those are happening primarily along the K Street corridor and up around the Safeway at 400 block of L Street. Those strips of restaurants there, those strips of businesses, we're seeing a lot of vehicles being left running while folks run inside to get food, and you know, people leaving valuables in their car visible while they're going in and patronizing these establishments. So that is the primary driver of our property crime in these areas. And what we're doing specifically in these areas, what I've tasked my officers specifically with doing to address these issues is to focus on these cars that we see out there double parked, left running. We have a traffic car that's dedicated primarily to this area, these areas, to do just that. And we're combining our education efforts and our enforcement efforts. So while it is, you know, a violation of DC municipal regulations to leave your car running and unattended or be double parked, we really want to first try to educate folks about the seriousness of this. You know, we're not going to issue a ticket to everybody we see doing this, but we do want to emphasize, and I would ask that, you know, members of the community that are listening, and that, you know, commissioners, if you could help pass the word as well. You know, these car thefts, it's serious business, and I think we need to be genuine in that as a police department, and sharing that. You know, these cars are not just being stolen by kids going for joyrides. They're being used in very serious crimes all across the city. People are stealing cars to go do shootings, to go do robberies. And I can attest to that firsthand from my time as being a homicide detective. Stolen cars are used to commit violent crimes. So, you know, to the community, I would say, please do your part. For the minor inconvenience of having to find a legal parking spot, you know, turning off the car to go into the store, I think that's a small ask for the overall safety of our community. And with respect to the businesses, I think that they bear some responsibility as well for playing a part in community safety. So to that end, we have reached out to the businesses in the areas to encourage their delivery drivers to, you know, take precautions to when they go make deliveries at the locations they're going, that they turn off their car when they go up to the front porch and not leave it running. That, you know, Uber and Postmates and these other companies push out information to their drivers that this is something that we are experiencing in DC and around the country, that, you know, folks are being targeted to steal vehicles from if they're not, you know, minding those safety precautions. So we've taken those steps as well. And I know those conversations are happening at my level. And I also know that they're happening at Chief Conti's level when he is in contact with executives at these companies to ask them to push that information out. So the last thing I'll say is that, you know, in the violent crimes that we've had in the area in the last 30 days, we had four violent crimes. We had an ADW gun, a gun pointing, a robbery with a knife, and an ADW gun, a brandishing a gun, domestic related. Our officers do a great job getting to the scene quickly, obtaining information, sharing it. And I task my officers when we're at work to do everything we can to close the case before we go home. If that means having to leave 1D to go across a border, you know, my patch says Washington, D.C. police. So I empower my officers to go anywhere in the city they need to catch the bad guys when they commit crimes. And we did just that in an ADW gun and a gun pointing that happened outside Walker Jones education campus a couple weeks ago. At dismissal time, we had a car full of folks pull up out front. Someone leaned out the window and pointed a gun at a mother and her children that were on the front steps of the building. Security personnel recognized the person as a student. They knew him. They gave us his information. We contacted our partners at juvenile probation. We found out he was on an ankle monitor and, you know, for a pending case. And we found out where he was. He was over in the 6th district off of Ridge Road, and we went and we arrested him immediately. We believe that we have that responsibility while we're at work to do everything we can to close a case as soon as it happens. So in that case, we had a quick closure, and thankfully the Office of the Attorney General agreed with our probable cause finding and charged the juvenile with that crime. So that's just one example I wanted to share with you of the good work that our officers do every day when they come to work. And I do look forward to working with you, and anything you need, you have my email address, Commissioner, and you can contact me at any time. All right. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Great, thank you so much. Do we have any questions from commissioners?
Hey, Phil, this is Commissioner Patrick Parlay. I represent 6E05, which sounds like it's the Mount Vernon Triangle area, kind of the K Street area. And thanks for the update on the property crimes and your efforts on what you're doing there. The one thing I wanted to bring up with you is that I got some feedback this month, and this has been sort of a problem that it's come around again and again. But with respect to the bike lane on K Street, in the past, and people send me pictures of these with some frequency, but we'll have cars parked in the bike lane. It gets really frustrating when it's police cars that are parked in the bike lane. And I would just ask, to the extent that you can, just to emphasize that point with your officers. Implementation of that bike lane is something that the commission has talked to a lot with DDOT and DPW because it in many ways it's not working well for residents. So it's a problem as it is. And just seeing like other DC government, institutions, especially the police, kind of break the rules on it, it just kind of adds to that frustration. And I know that it's a big deal for MPD to sort of build trust with the community, and seeing the cars out there kind of has the opposite effect. So that's kind of the only piece of feedback I'd raise for you now.
Absolutely. And I really do appreciate you sharing that. And as I said, I've only been back at 1D for a couple of weeks now. So I do need to get caught up on what all these issues are. So please, if there's anything outstanding that you've shared with any of my colleagues to this point that hasn't been addressed or that you are still seeing issues with, please bring it to me and I will get you an answer and some action on our part. So thank you, sir.
Any other commissioners have questions for Phil, who is our 1D rep south of New York Avenue? Any questions from the community? Feel free to type something into the Q&A or raise your hand to be unmuted. If you're on the phone, please dial *9. And not seeing anything. So with that, I will say thank you for joining us here this evening. Welcome to the 6E community. We look forward to seeing you in September. There was a hand and then it disappeared. Thanks again, and we'll see you in September. All right, have a safe summer. Okay, and on to our next item, which we have Jonathan Fleming, who's a lieutenant. I really should have written down the ranks. Do we have anyone from 3D on the call? Let me double check over here.
I think Ed's, oh, there he is.
There we go, Lieutenant Fleming, welcome.
Hello, thank you. All right, so I'll start off by going over the stats for the last 30 days in the 3rd district. After that, there were a couple questions that I was given ahead of time. I'll address those, and then I'll open up to any questions who anyone has. So first off, I'm Lieutenant Fleming with the Metropolitan Police Department in the 3rd district. So we take over north of New York Avenue. Over the last 30 days, I'm happy to say we've had a decrease in almost all crime. Everything is down except for theft from autos. We are up 70% in theft from autos in the 3rd district, and those are mostly stemming from the streets a few blocks south or so of the U Street Florida Avenue corridor on those Friday, Saturday nights, Sunday nights. I'm sure we are all aware. There were a couple questions about that. So I wanted to say to address that, we are deploying officers specifically on these the smaller streets south of U Street. Over the last, not this last weekend, but the weekend before that, we were really successful. We arrested 3 people for breaking into autos. 2 of them we found in possession of firearms. So we were pretty happy about that, and it did slow down for a little bit after that, but we're still out there doing the same thing, trying to continue that, continue to hold people accountable when they're breaking into cars. Another concern I saw was there was some friction with filing police reports for break-ins. I just want to specify that the telephone reporting unit handles vehicle break-in reports. You can get in contact with them by calling either 311 or 911, and they're the ones who will handle that report. It's and they're a separate entity. They're under the Office of Unified Communications, not under the Metropolitan Police Department. Another thing that was brought up, we have the homicide at the South Shaw Metro entrance. Wanted to go over that a little bit. While I can't go into much more detail about that because it's an ongoing investigation, all I really can say is that there was an adult male and a juvenile male that were both shot. Unfortunately, the juvenile male succumbed to his injuries. It's an ongoing investigation, but if the detectives handling that do develop any photos, bolos, video of the incident that we can share with the public, we definitely will, to seek your help in identifying the shooters. There were requests for foot patrols in the area, specifically French Street. Since I was made aware that that was concerned, I hope you saw an increased presence from police officers in the area. Unfortunately, we have a finite number of officers, so we have to strategically deploy them, and we often don't have the manpower to assign a specific foot officer. What I do like, though, are bike officers, Segway officers, scooter officers, because this area is an area where I like to ride a bike around because I can get to the whole 3rd district on a bicycle. So I do really enjoy riding that. I want my officers doing that because it gives gives the officers a better chance to interact with the community, get to know the serious concerns in between these meetings. There was also a question about the mayor's specific bike unit. The mayor did help us with starting a community-focused patrol unit where they do ride bikes. Unfortunately, that unit is for the entire city, though. So we do have them come help us out on some Friday and Saturday nights where they'll be riding around your streets, but they're not something that's going to be constantly in the area. Did get one question about wanted to hear what 3rd district is going to do to make the members of the community, specifically around French Street, feel safe. So I just wanted to say, while we are deploying officers in the area, specifically to address the concerns I brought up recently, want to say what we have been doing is making arrests in the area. Over the last month, we arrested 4 people in the area for illegal firearms. We got 1 person for stealing packages off of porches, and our narcotics team arrested 7 people for possessing drugs with the intent to distribute them. So, I mean, we hear your concerns. We are out there doing our job, trying to do what we can to deter all the criminal activity that being brought up in these meetings and when my officers are out riding around. That is what I've got. So if there are any questions, I'll take those.
Are there any questions from, oh, it looks like we've got multiple. Let's go in order. Commissioner Wiggins.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, all things considered. On last Saturday, July 2nd, I believe, late at night, about 11:30, 12 o'clock, I got a call that someone was riding a bike and there were some perpetrators who tried to steal his bike, and he resisted and was stabbed in the process. Do we have any information if was the perpetrator apprehended? That area, which was 1100 block right across from the convention center, is the same area that the stakeholders are having a problem with. The element that was at Giant about a month or so ago, they're now, they use they're nomadic in nature. So now they're camping out on the east side of 1100 block of 7th, and they're congregating, selling drugs there. So we're going to need some additional support. The same support that was given to Giant. We needed these guys not to be hanging out there, creating problems for the people who are passing through the area, trying to go from uptown to downtown area. But I want to bring that to your attention for the record, so we definitely could use some additional support in that area.
And
of
Frank,
the
which block was
neighborhood.
that again?
1100 block of 7th, right across
1100
from the
block of
convention
7th.
center.
Okay.
And they're hanging out almost daily. Usually it's 3 or 4, 5 guys. And we believe they're selling drugs. They used to do it close to Giant until their raid took place after the young lady got shot and killed in that block. So the forces were deployed at that time and cleaned up that area, but now they've moved on to another area. So I just need some additional support in that regard.
And
Thank you for bringing that to my attention. You and your constituents are our eyes and ears in the area. With you giving me that information, I can have our crime suppression team address it. And if it rises to the level, I can send this off to our narcotics units. They can conduct their sort of operations in the area.
Okay, we have pictures of the cars that we believe they're working out of, and a picture of a person of interest that we can pass on to the department.
Okay. Is there a chat in this where I can give you my email or for everyone who has any concerns?
Sure.
There's not a chat, but actually after you leave as a panelist, you can leave a question in the Q&A and we'll just post that to the group.
Oh.
I can also connect you with Commissioner Williams via email.
And I can also get your email from the MPD website. I can pull it off from there.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And Commissioner Nigro.
So let me piggyback what Frank said, because Frank and I probably got the same phone call that night. So okay. I heard it was a fight. I talked to the watch commander and it was a fight. And then the person got stabbed. But nonetheless, Frank is correct about that area. And so we would appreciate, we're right there, appreciate any additional police presence. Because there's also some potential drug action inside the sidewalks of the Paradise Gardens. Just letting you know, Lieutenant. Yeah. Okay, so but let me ask you, so I'm backing up Frank with that, so we'd appreciate that. But let me just review some stuff with you. On June 12th, there was a shooting on the 200 block of N Street. If you have a follow-up about that, there were shots fired on 625, right near the 1300 block of 5th Street. And then on July 3rd, there was the shooting on the 1300 in the cooperative of someone shot. Do you have any follow-ups on those?
I can say I don't have any bolos or anything that I can distribute right now. There's not going to be really any more information that I can reveal right now other than what you would have gotten the night of from the watch commanders.
So that was nothing though.
Social media. Excuse me?
So I mean, here's how I feel, because have we ever talked before? So yeah. I need information. And I just spent it back, I put it back out to my constituents, and this continual non-information of circle, of going nowhere, of I have all my facts, but there's really like no resolution ever. So if you could follow up on those 3 things, that would be most fantastic. Okay. All right.
I do not have that information right here with me right now. That's something I'd have to follow up with you later.
Okay, follow. I talked, so we'll be buddies, trust me. I talk to the watch commander all the time. It's just many times during the week. Okay, and so the next I have, so I promoted the new, or I'm not sure if it's new, but newish, the whole ATV telephone number to report the ATVs. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Phone us to bonus program.
Well, here's the thing. So I receive so people read my social media and then my constituents take action, but apparently nothing happened. So he said, the constituent goes, when I called the 202 number listed, it pushed me to 311-911, and then I was disconnected. I called 311 back and the operator was not interested in my report about ATVs going down by 4th Street. And he was saying this will probably not do anything. So I'm going to bring this up to the Office of Unified Communications director, because this sounds all sorts of wrong. But what happened? Say if this worked out, when this constituent called, what is supposed to happen?
So there may have been some confusion because we were continuously changing how we handle with ATVs and dirt bikes. We understand that is an extremely big concern, specifically in the 3rd district on these Friday, Saturday nights.
Well, let me correct you. It's every night. It's every night. Go ahead.
Yeah, but we did the most on these Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights. What we've recently started doing, we changed the way we handle these. We appreciate the calls about people riding them, but it's unsafe for us to take any serious action against people when they're riding these ATVs, because we had an incident, I believe last week, where park police, they chased one person on one of these tricycles and they ended up dying. It's the Metropolitan Police Department's position that chasing people on these things is not worth the risk to human life, to the riders, or to innocent bystanders involved. But we understand we can't just sit around and do nothing and just throw our hands up and say, oh, well, they're just going to keep doing it. So what we do now is we've started to use our helicopter to fly around and see where these things are parked. It's great when we have numbers of people calling the 311 to say that I see these ATVs parked consistently in this alley or in this area. We have the helicopter go up, they spot the areas, and then we have unmarked officers go around the area and just scoop these things up, and we take them as civil forfeiture. And then when I say we take them as civil forfeiture, that means we keep them, we hold on to them, and the riders don't get them back.
So you didn't really answer my question. So if I call this number tonight, because there'll be someone zooming into the tunnel tonight, I can stand there and whenever, it'll happen tonight. What happens when I call that telephone number?
So when you call that number, like I said, when you call that number and you see the people riding them,
Yep.
we notate the information. We don't have the resources to dispatch an officer to go look at someone ride ATV or dirt bike every time they do that in the city.
So then nothing happens.
When they're riding the ATVs, yes, that information is just documented.
So why would I be promoting this then?
I'm not sure where you got that information.
From your social media. I don't get it, but I'll bring that up with Chief Conti. So trust me on that. Okay, here we go. Now we're talking about fireworks. Okay, yesterday was the 4th of July. You were very aware what happens in our area, especially north of New York Avenue. Okay, we get it. Yesterday was the 4th of July. Today, and in Ed's area, in the Enclave. So it's over there, Morgan, Kirby, and Street. It is now the 5th of July, right? Holiday is over. I just heard some go off. Just as this meeting started, what is going to happen tonight when my constituents call?
So when you call for fireworks, we go out. If someone's in possession of illegal fireworks, we take the fireworks.
But is it really going to happen tonight?
Yes, if we go out there and we see somebody with some illegal fireworks, we take the fireworks.
Okay, so there's a constituent on this call who's listening to this. We're calling tonight. Okay. And then, so let me also talk about foot patrols. You had mentioned those. So I've been talking about foot patrols for years over in Ed's area, Morgan, Kirby, New Jersey, and Ridge. Where's my foot patrols? Conti knows about it. The commander knows about it. I feel I'm getting some lip service. So where are these foot patrols?
So like I said earlier, we have a limited number of officers. When I put an officer on a foot patrol, I'm losing a portion of my manpower to answer up calls for the entirety of the rest of the district. So that, like I said, I prefer bike patrol. I feel it's a similar effect where they're on the streets, they're easily accessible, officers easily accessible. They're seeing everything a foot patrol officer would see. I see you have a question.
Okay, so listen, I don't care if they're on roller skates, as long as they get out of the car. So there are cars that sit by 5th and O Street continually, which we appreciate. We love the car there. We need to get the officers out of the car. Can you help me with that, Lieutenant?
Yes, we do encourage our officers to get out the car, and we hold them accountable. We force them to come over there and say over the radio when they are getting out the car, walk around, chat with folks, write some tickets, do whatever police work that needs to be done in the area, even if that's just fixing or putting in requests to have streetlights fixed.
Okay, so if I walk up there tonight, will that person not be in their car?
They're going to be in their car sometime. They're not going to constantly be out on foot, but they will be in their car sometimes, and other times they're going to have to go respond to another part of the district to assist someone who's calling 911.
So I will tell you, to be honest, the constituents in the Second Northwest Cooperative would love for them to get out of the car and walk around inside the cooperative. There you go. Just like we did
Thank
the
you.
other. So I joined the whole CSOSA group on the 3rd, which was fantastic. But my constituents who saw that in the cooperative would love to have that happen all the time. There you go. All right, thank you.
All right.
We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much for that, Commissioner Nigro. It looks like we have one question in the Q&A, and if anyone has any questions they'd like to speak verbally, feel free to raise your hand. If you're on the phone, dial *9. The question in the Q&A, I don't know if it's a question more than it's much a statement. The police did not respond on July 4 to illegal fireworks. We were terrorized all night long, like bombs from New Jersey, 6th ON co-op area, called 911, fireworks went on throughout the early hours of the morning. So did you have a response to our listener?
I'm sorry you felt the officers didn't respond, or I'm sorry if they did not actually respond. Please understand we have a limited number of officers, especially on the 4th of July. We get pulled in all different directions because we lose about 1/3 of the officers in the district, have to go downtown to assist with the fireworks downtown. So we're working with a limited number of officers who have to respond to these calls, and we're getting hundreds of calls, of course, on the 4th of July for illegal fireworks, and they absolutely are illegal. When we get there and we see them, we can take them, but it's going to take time. It could take hours on the 4th of July for us to get to every single fireworks call in the 3rd district.
And we have a hand up from Mary Walker.
I was waiting for Mary Walker. I had that same concern. Fireworks was going off to 1 o'clock in the morning, 4th of July. And I was on hold with 311 for at least 15, 20 minutes. I never did get somebody. And I wish there was more we could do to limit the fireworks going off to 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. It's getting to be a bit much.
I mean, so I would hope you understand my concern where
I understand.
of officers.
I'm just voicing because I had that same concern that they're just going off 1 o'clock in the morning is excessive. And when they get so loud, they're vibrating the ground. That's a bit much. And I'm sure I wasn't the only person that heard fireworks to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Thanks. We do have Mary unmuted. Mary, you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Hi, Commissioner. This is Olivia O'Neill, not Mary Walker. How are you doing?
Hi, Olivia. Good to see you again.
Okay, good. Listen, I agree with everybody that those fireworks, they went on seemed like all night long. Right across the street. I think they were over in the church area over there. I'm not really sure, but I could just hear all that boom, boom, boom all night. But I agree with you guys. But that's not. My question is this: I live on a corner, and all times of night, especially 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, we got these groups coming from the bars down the street on U Street. And, they're sitting underneath my window, talking all loud, cussing, drinking. And then when you go out in the morning, there's clothes hanging on your fence. There's bottles, there's trash all in your yard, on the sidewalk. Do you have a patrol coming along looking at all of this and these people coming from the bars that time of night?
So we do have that at the time that they're coming from the bars. Most of my officers are going to be focusing at the bars to discourage any mischievous behavior. For that, I was specifically asked that you call 911 and let them know that that's going on. I personally spent my last year working the midnight tour along U Street, and Fridays and Saturday nights I was going on the side streets myself and letting these patrons know that, hey, you need to be respectful of the people who live here. They're generally pretty receptive to that. Let us know that it's going on so we can send an officer over there to encourage them to be respectful of you and your neighbors.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much. Any additional questions?
Yes, Mike, I have a question.
Yeah, Commissioner Rogers.
Let me take the lieutenant back a little bit. A few weeks ago, a young man, 15-year-old named Blue, was killed up around by the Shaw Library. Is that have y'all caught anybody yet or still an investigation?
So yeah, that's the one I was just looking at that I said I couldn't go into much more details. No, we have not caught anyone yet. It's still under investigation. I did look at the case. The detectives are still working it pretty hard. If they get any more information that we can release to the public, I would definitely make sure that gets to you and your constituents.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much. And, I was one of the persons who sent a series of messages, questions to you, Lieutenant Fleming, and thank you for addressing a lot of those on your opening remarks. Hearing and seeing no additional hands or questions, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we look forward to seeing you in September.
I'll see you in September.
Great. And our next presenter, we have a 11th hour substitution. Our next presenter is Hazel Crawford, who is listed under H on the participant lists. Ed, could you please identify Hazel? Got again, this is for our mayor's office community representation for Ward 6.
Yes. Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Hazel Crawford. I am your Ward 6 community liaison in the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. I recently just transitioned into this role. Jasmine and I will be your liaisons for the next 2 years. Right now, the brief updates I wanted to tell you all from the mayors, we currently have legislation to help protect district homeowners from construction-related property damage. And also, we have the pathways from internship to careers information for any resident that would like that information. So that is the information that the mayor wanted us to give you all tonight. And if you have any questions or concerns or any other flags, feel free to ask.
Thanks for that, Hazel. I would like to know more about the adjoining construction program. I've got some constituents who are very concerned about a handful of construction projects that are abutting their property, and they've kind of almost given up because they're not getting the responses that they need from DCRA. So is that, what's the appropriate way to follow up? Is it email or?
Yeah, so the mayor will actually be having a press conference regarding it. So what I'll do is I'll send you or everyone the invitation, and that way you all can pass it to neighbors.
Sure. And one request that I do have,
okay,
is that I'm noting that a lot of the press, the events that have come out of the mayor's office, oftentimes we get the notice like 2 days before, and that doesn't really give us a lot of opportunity to get our community members involved. So if there's anything that you could do to make sure that you push the message out, sometimes, if it could be like weeks before, just so that we, can use all of our communications strategies appropriately to get the word out about these things.
Certainly. One thing I would like to mention is sometimes these press conferences do get put on the mayor's calendar like at least like 2 days or 3 days before. But I can definitely flag to you all when we have notification that the press conference is possible, so you all can be aware. And if it does happen, you all will be aware that it's taking place.
Thank you so much. And Commissioner Nigro.
So to follow up with Michael, so sometimes I get these invites like 2 hours before. I mean, what's up with that?
Yeah, typically, like I said, sometimes these press conferences are put on the schedule late, which means that we have to send out invitations late. We have to crowd build late.
Okay. So this legislation that you're talking, it's proposed legislation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not official yet.
Not yet. So the mayor will, at the press conference, the mayor will basically be discussing this legislation and how it will benefit residents, and for homeowners to know about who they can call if they have any questions regarding property damage when construction sites are, taking place.
But it's not happening now, just to make, I made that clear on my posting. So I hope that she makes that clear tomorrow.
Definitely. I'll definitely make that note.
And then do you have anything to say about Ward 2 or Ward 5 or no? Just general.
In general, I do not. Do you have specific questions or?
No.
Okay.
I'll have to remind Michael next month again.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Any additional comments from commissioners? questions or comments from the community, feel free to press *9 to raise your hand, or if you are on the Zoom, use the button.
Wait, I forgot. Hazel, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Wait, were you part of the email? I haven't had a chance to respond about the structure, the illegal structure on New Jersey and M Street. Were you part of that email chain?
No, I don't think so. Some of the emails I'm receiving,
I think that maybe that's Jasmine.
Kevin Pham may still be on it. So I still get some of his emails, and I don't think if you all have any listservs, please feel free to let me know so I could just get myself at it.
May I make a suggestion? Is that that the Mokers, and you all are great, to actually look at the map that we are now. So the
Right.
area that Mike Leichler, myself, Frank, Alex Lopez, we are no longer Ward 6. And so I keep getting looped into this Moker stuff, Ward 6, and we are Ward 2.
Gotcha.
And part of my area is Ward 5. So I have this weird feeling that the Mokers are not aware how our area has changed.
Understood. I definitely think there is some confusion on how some of the areas have changed. So I would definitely flag that to the team.
Okay.
And Hazel, I have received one other question in the Q&A. When is the press conference re-internships to careers?
I'll get that information to you all as soon as possible.
Okay. All right. So thank you for that, and we'll move forward from there.
Sounds good.
Okay. With no further questions or comments, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Thank you very much, Hazel, for joining us this evening. We look forward to seeing you in September.
Yes, sir.
So we also have another substitution for item 7. It's now going to be Pablo, who I did see as on the call, Pablo Rodriguez. And this is, again, item 7, Ward 2, Councilmember Brooke Pinto's office. Hi, Pablo.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Good. Welcome to 6E.
Good, thank you. I know you guys might be missing Brian today, but he had another ANC meeting today that ended up being doubled up today. I think 2E it was that was rescheduled to today, but happy to be here and happy to see everyone. I'll just jump right into it. Obviously with 4th of July yesterday, I want to remind everyone that trash and recycling pickup slides to the next day for the rest of the week. So just in case anyone was confused about the trash schedule for this week, it's just going to slide one day over. And as anyone who lives here knows, rats seem to multiply in the summer months. So if you do notice rats in your alley or by your home, please submit a 311 request for rodent inspection and treatment. You can also use 311 to request a new trash or recycling bin if a rat has damaged your lid or a trash can. And DC Health is also hosting a free 2-day rodent control academy at GW. So if you're passionate about rodent control and want to learn more about it, I'll post a link to register in the Q&A along with my contact information and the 311 website if anybody's interested in filling out those 311 requests. DC Health has also begun vaccinating DC residents who may be at risk of exposure to monkeypox. DC is getting vaccines from the federal government, so if you're worried or think you may be eligible for the vaccine, please sign up for alerts and visit preventmonkeypox.dc.gov, and that should give you alerts for when they're next available in DC. The council will be going into legislative recess next Friday on July 15th until September 15th. So generally that means there's no hearings, roundtables, markups, and no new legislation introduced in that time. But our office will still be working throughout all of recess, so please continue to contact us if you need anything. And that's all I've got for you today. And let me go ahead and put these links into the Q&A as well.
You may not be able to do that until after you are no longer a panelist. So hold off on looking for the Q&A until that time.
Gotcha.
I would just want to know for anyone who's listening, when you want to request a replacement for your trash or recycling container, if you're looking at the 311 yourself, it's actually called rat replacement containers, and it's not really that logical. So just look for rat replacement, and that will be where you find it if you're looking for it yourself. Do we have any additional questions from, there we go, from commissioners? Commissioner Nigro.
So maybe I should have brought this up with Hazel, but I think he's gone. So I've had concern from constituents about the monkeypox vaccine registration for the schedule, and that they have gone too quickly within minutes. So I'm going to write an email to Nesbitt, but what is the deal with that? Or do you have any, how many slots? What is happening? Why is this COVID part 2 with this vaccination?
I believe the first time that they released them around last week or so, or earlier this week, it may have been, they had around 200 or 300. I think today they released another 300 or 400. So I think it's just not enough supply at the moment to meet the demand for them. So we're hoping that they'll be able to get more soon from the federal government. We're continuing to communicate with the Department of Health to see hopefully when that next drop of vaccines will be.
And
Okay.
Pablo, could you actually just remind us what the at-risk community is for monkeypox, so that those who may not be a member of that community reserve spaces for and doses for those who are?
So currently, the last I've heard is that primarily the LGBTQ community is the ones that are being prioritized for the vaccines.
So another concern, Pablo, and I this is where I brought up about the workers are confused. And so I know Brian is aware, but he's not on the call, but you might be aware of the legal structure that is on M in New Jersey and New York. Are you aware about this? That has now turned into a drug den? Yes, Pablo? No, Pablo?
Yes, we have been aware of this. We've been speaking with Deputy Mayor Turnage about it. And Deputy Mayor Turnage has told us that they're working on this structure, as well as several other encampments around the city, of course. And they're gonna, keep checking back in on it to make sure it's cleaned and maintained, so they can continue addressing this. But we'll keep communicating with Deputy Mayor Turnage. And of course, if you see any updates there yourself, feel free to let us know, and we'll.
Okay, so I've
we'll
asked for this
communicate that.
removal since it's been there. It is an illegal structure. It is not a homeless encampment. It is people doing drugs. Okay, it is illegal and is causing, again, all sorts of commotion. It is unacceptable. The DC government needs to enforce the law. This is ridiculous. It is ridiculous, Pablo. Well, I mean, it's not your fault, but the fact that the DC refuses to enforce the law and there's criminal activity and my constituents need to suffer because of it. You tell Councilmember Pinto that I'm talking about it and we've had enough. Do something.
I will let her know.
Do something. Or you can come stand with me, like I was over there on Friday. They're all them doing their drugs and all that, and they're all zoned out. It is ridiculous. Come stand with me, Pablo. Come enjoy the scene. Because that's what's going on there.
Okay, so do we have any other questions for Council Member Pinto's office from the commissioners? Any comments or questions from the community? *9 on your phone, or, oh, we have one from Commissioner Rogers. Go for it.
My computer working all slow. Yes, I agree with Commissioner Nigro, because I seen it for myself too. Also, if the District of Columbia is not gonna do nothing about it, then what we supposed to do? What they put ANCs out here for? We're supposed to provide for our community and protect. And when we make reports like this, right, there's nothing done. I can go past that same little area that Nigro talk about and cop me some drugs. But and the police can be at the other corner, and see me cop and don't do nothing. So we need to stick together on this, So when we assign our mochas or tell our mochas, right, hey, like maybe you need to run this past our city council person, then it's something, we might get something done. So, that's my views on it,
I'll do a follow-up. We're done. My constituents live through the New Jersey No Street Park, and now we've got this illegal structure. It is insane that no one enforces the law. That's it. Enforce the law. It's on public space. There's no permit for it. And let me tell you, those 3 people on Friday that were crammed in there doing whatever, and then they shut the door when they saw me. Come on, give me a break. And then the guy passed out in front of it.
Okay, so let's move on to additional comments or questions from the community. I think we, Pablo, I think we're ready to say thank you and wish you a good evening. So thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thanks for having me.
And we will see you in September. Next item is item 8, Ward 6, Councilmember Allen's office. And we have Jean Madison. There we go. There we go. Hi, Jean.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for coming in this evening.
Absolutely. So I just have a few things. I know that encampments are the hardest thing in the entire world. So I know it's just a really hard for everybody in the community. New Jersey and was, I feel for Councilmember Pinto's staff that it's a really hard row, but it's also very important.
Not that hard. Enforce the law. I'm done.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Rochelle. I wanted to, so there are a couple of links that I wanted to share, actually. Let me just copy and paste that.
So the chat doesn't, this doesn't have a chat, it only has a Q&A, and you can't interact with it when you're a presenter. You can only interact with it when you're out. So feel free to share those
I
links
will.
After your session, and we will approve them, and they will then be available for the community.
Okay. It's mostly about the Housing Assistance Fund and the Events DC community grants that are happening, as well as the new Ward 6 ANC maps that have been approved and voted on. And so I wanted everybody to kind of have that, to be able to know exactly what their SMD was as residents. And then I know that, Patrick, you are really concerned about the Pudos on 4th Street, on K Street, rather, between 4th and 6th. We've been working on that with DDOT really, really hard to enforce them to come up with a new plan or an actual plan that functions about Pudos, meaning pick up, drop off zones, to be able to get that 2-block zone radius really functional. Because right now, between the alley and the whatever, so there's a lot of work that's being done with DDOT. The Mount Vernon SID has been huge, as well as Patrick, to be able to hold DDOT accountable to many issues in that area. I think if there's anything I can say, obviously public safety is at the top of everybody's mind. If there are any questions about that I can answer, or get you an answer in, at the immediate term, I'm happy to do that. Just let me know what I can do. I know we certainly partner with the Mokers. Hazel's been great. I feel like it is absolutely time to deal with public safety in this part of the ward, as well as, where I work in Southwest as well. Those are the sort of 2 hot spots that I know about. But if there are any questions, I will throw my name in the chat after I'm not a panelist, and my email and stuff. So please let me know what I can do.
Thank you so much, Sean. Do we have any questions from commissioners?
I'll just make a comment, and thanks, John, for calling out the kind of the traffic safety stuff we're dealing with on K Street and in Mount Vernon Triangle. And just to flavor it a little bit for the folks in the public who are dialing in. So this is kind of the aftermath of our traffic safety walk we did when Council Member Allen came down with DDOT and DPW was there. So we recently got some email back from DDOT that sort of addressed in a written form some of our requests. My reaction is that I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the level of commitment they want to put on it, but I'm really happy to see, Jean, that you're saying that like you're still working on using the back channels, and Councilmember Allen is still engaged on that. So I'm very happy to hear that, and you know, we're all looking forward to progress on that. So thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Do you have any questions or comments from the community? If you're on the phone, press *9. Otherwise, raise your hand. This is questions for Councilmember Allen's staff. And seeing none, Jean, we look forward to seeing the links that you'll post into the Q&A after you've been demoted to non-panelist. Thanks so much for coming out this evening, and we look forward to seeing you in September.
Absolutely. And I just want to say an ode to my predecessor, Naomi Mitchell. She is both a friend and a colleague, and I know that she adored everyone here. And I'm really, really proud to step in her shoes, even though they're way too big. But I just, it's on my mind right now, and it's really remarkable what she's done in this ward. So Rochelle, I know you know that, and I just wanted to make a quick remark about that. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much. So on to the next item. Item 9, presentation from the DC Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. Unmuting Dana McDaniel. And thanks everyone for your patience as we are running a little late, but we'll get through everything. Welcome, Dana.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dana McDaniel, Deputy Director of the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, checking in. And thank you, Michael and team, for having me.
Great to have you here. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. And thanks. I've been listening and taking some good notes as well. And I'm hoping to have an opportunity for some good follow-up items based upon what I'll share today and some of the things I've heard you all share on the call. And let me just pull up a bit of my notes here. So I wanted to introduce myself and the services we'll be bringing to your community. Well, that we have now brought to your community. The Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement has a commitment to community safety and working with and empowering communities to identify needs and identify strategies and solutions to building healthier and happier communities. We have several programs at our office, from our Pathways program, which is a 9-week in-class based program where we can refer certain individuals from the community to attend. We have restorative justice and trauma-informed care services and opportunities that we can implement for community members as well as those individuals receiving our services. We have a One's Leadership Academy, which is a school-based service that we have in Anacostia, H.D. Woodson, and Paul High Schools. And for next year, we will be expanding to Kramer Middle School, Kelly Middle School, and Paul Middle School. We have a family and survivor support program, and it's their role to assist and respond to either victims of gun violence or surviving family members of victims of gun violence. And then most importantly to tonight's call is our violence prevention and intervention programs and services, where we have an array of different services that are in place, but most importantly is the violence intervention contractors, where we onboard a vendor who provides 1 to 2 individuals per community who help us identify the most at-risk individuals in the most in pain places and try to develop strategies to heal those individuals, as well as bring peace to communities that may be suffering from long-standing wars. And so based upon crime data, we take a look at crime data to see which communities have highest instances of gun violence. And then we take a look at our relationships and our existing dynamics, and we make selections for communities that we onboard to receive violence intervention services. This community was just awarded violence intervention services. The vendor's name is the Ward 5 Network. the Ward 5 vendor received the award for this particular community because they service other communities right along Rhode Island Avenue, and all of them have intertwining relationships with some of the issues we deal with as it relates to the ongoing wars. Those communities include Edgewood, Saratoga, Langdon Park, and Taft, and you guys just up Rhode Island Avenue. So that vendor picked up your community due to proximity so that they can have great response time and a central office that they can utilize for resources that they need that can be close by. So we are happy to announce to you all that as of July 1st, we have a vendor awarded to identify at least two violence interrupters for your community. We began some initial groundwork there. I would say maybe April or May, we began doing some outreach, listening to some community concerns, things that were being sent to Kelly Sislo and team. I'm sorry, to either Pinto or Allen's teams that came our way, and listening and hearing from constituents, noting the concerns, vetting individuals in the community that we felt would be suitable for the work, listening to the young men and women who are in crises and in pain, who are suffering from gun violence, and hearing directly from them on what they need so that we can begin to develop strategy. We did have to pause and pivot when there was the large mass arrest that happened in the community, to just slow down and take time to make sure that none of the individuals we've been pursuing were any of the individuals caught in that incident, as well as just vet some of the relationships with individuals we are pursuing and the individuals that were caught in that incident. So we wanted to, measure several times and cut once. So we are back at a place now where we are, as a matter of fact, this week, interviewing two potential individuals that could serve as violence interrupters in that community. And as I'm listening, what I'm hoping to hear from this group, and I can maybe I'm taking some scattered notes as different individuals have spoken, but maybe working together, Michael, you and I can follow up on the side to just get an email with kind of the bulleted list of those concerns, those locations and areas. We did receive a list previously of some areas of concern that we went by, visited, try to engage some individuals to begin to redirect some behaviors. And another part of the E in our name in terms of engagement is really also supporting with some of the cultural adjustments with that group, and making sure that everyone it has livable space and everyone is accepting of the cultural needs, and making sure that we're considerate of that. And making sure that the way we exist is peaceful and safe in how we do what we do out in communities. So we'd love to continue to work with this group and hear what the needs are, as well as hear from this group to see if you are aware of some of the key individuals we should be engaging, either those that can help or those that need help. So in addition to that list of, our concerns or complaints and the areas and addresses that we'd like to take a glance at, we'd also like that list of names that are recommended for, hey, here's some key individuals that can really support on the ground, or hey, here's some key young men that I'm familiar with that could really use help and support, or here's some key individuals who have an impact in community, or key influencers, be it nicknames or rappers' names, or any other influencers that are impacting community that we should be in contact with to help us with that work. So I know that was a mouthful. I'll take a pause there to make sure there are no questions. And if need be, I can, add additional information about some of the services that exist at the agency.
Thanks so much, Dana. Thanks again for coming out tonight. I do have one question. You said the team that's been assigned to our community is part of a larger Ward 5 team. Can you help us understand what part of the sort of Shaw sort of 6E community was within that service area?
Yes, let me pull up the map. And my apology, my laptop clunked out as I'm sitting on the call right before I got on the call with you guys, and I had to use the phone, and I wanted to pull everything up for you to see. So Michael, I'll send that to you so you have the boundary map and things like that. So the boundary map will cover north, it'll be the Florida Avenue, over from 6th and 9th, and then down to Fifth Street Market. So it's like a rectangular shape there that will cover. We do recognize that there is a need to inch on over across Rhode Island Avenue to the Lincoln Westmoreland side, and engage some of the individuals over there. There's a connection between those communities, and we recognize that informally we do have to begin to do that. So we will do that. We want to make sure that whomever we on board for this community potentially has supports or an ability to have an impact just across Rhode Island to the other side as well, so that we're kind of working both angles to bring about some more safety and peace there.
Thanks so much. And do we have any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagro.
Hi, Dana. We've talked before in the past. Thanks for coming on the call. But I have a question. I have two questions, actually, three questions. So I'm a little bit confused who's leading your organization now. I saw that the other executive director is no longer, but Delano Hunter is leading it, and he's also leading the Park Service. I'm a little confused. Can you clarify on that?
Yes, our executive director did leave our agency in March of this year. And since then, Delano Hunter, who is the actual director of DPR, Department of Parks and Recreation, has been asked to be the interim director here at ONES. There's a lot of synergy between the two agencies, and especially approaching the summer months. And with the small size of our agency, Delano was identified as the interim director until a new director was identified and placed.
Okay, and then secondly, there has been some questions about your data in the past. Do you have data now? Has it improved?
Yes, we do have data, and I wish I would have tagged Satara Yale, who's our data genius over at the office, and we'll make sure we get some stats over to you all in reference to your communities that we can probably pull back to 2020 up until this point, and then we can begin tracking. But we do have data. We track a lot of different types of data on all of our programs. So depending upon what's needed, we can definitely provide. And if there's regular data that this team would like to see, we can make sure we generate that on a regular basis. But we are data driven and have had to work, from the ground up to build out data tracking, data systems, and create data methods for work that did not exist and for work that generally had not been quantified in this way or scientifically labeled and approached or utilized. So we're trying to add science to the work, and data is a big part of that.
So in one bullet point, how does your organization measure success?
In one bullet point, I would say that would be specific to the community. And so if you want to just base it upon our name and what our label is and what we do, a decrease in shooting incidents would be that one bullet point. But what is a success in your community is totally different than another. And that's something that's super big for us, which is why we now utilize what we call a prescriptive approach to communities. We can't approach a community and offer the same thing to one community that we do in another. These boys might be totally into skateboarding and another group is totally into going to the music studio. So we have to be super specific to that community. Some communities aren't seeing as much shooting as they are, interpersonal unrest. So depending upon that community, we can set a success measure. We can set that one bullet point and aim to hit it. But if we were to speak generically, just based upon the agency, a decrease in shooting incidents in community would be that measurement.
Okay, and then since your data should be, is it not on your website?
Yes, it should be. And I'm the most unsavvy tech person in the agency. So please do not quote me. And what I'll do is reply to this invite while we're on, add myself, you, Michael, and Satara Yell so that you can directly ask any questions. And she's super responsive and she'll make sure you have exactly what you're looking for in terms of data.
So I have a concern with a couple of members of a couple constituents who are quite young, very young as 6. So how young do you work with?
It depends on the need of the community. We have some.
So this would be 6 years old. This is how young this constituent is. I don't want to get into it on this call. There are probably some constituents on the call that are aware of what is happening, but how young is young for you, for your group? Would you work with
I
a
don't think we would
6-year-old?
base it on age. We would base it on need. And then once we even take a look at a child as young as 6, there are other agencies that may supersede ours in terms of what needs to be addressed with a baby that young. But please do refer us, connect us to the parent. We don't mind assessing, diagnosing, and if there's something we can prescribe, we'll prescribe it. But at his tender age, there are other agencies we would tag in to supersede the needs of a child that young, that's in trouble or at risk. There are other things and other people we like to pull to the table and hold accountable in a case like that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much. Any additional, Commissioner Parlay, yeah.
Hey, Dana, this is Patrick Parlay. I'm the ANC commissioner for 6E05, which is the Mount Vernon Triangle area. I think, unless I've misunderstood you, I don't believe my particular single member district falls in what you're describing as like your primary focus areas. But I think that, and I think this is the sense of the ANC, I think too. I think people are interested in working with more like the violence interrupter, kind of like other ways that are not the police style of conflict resolution. I think there's a real interest in that. And I'm just wondering, if we're not in your focus area, are there ways that me as a commissioner, or even more specifically, constituents can engage with your organization to sort of move forward on things like that? I'll say that, you know, the police are on this ANC call every month, and we hear a lot from them, and they're sort of the go-to, they're who we see. So at times it feels like as a city, maybe we're talking about the violence interruption programs, but at the neighborhood level, I guess we probably don't see them as much. So I just want to understand how to better engage.
Great question. I like that. And as the work has evolved and we have our frontline individuals have learned how to be more comfortable with optics and with presence, understanding the importance of branding and being seen. So I'm glad you asked that question. And because ones did create our focus communities, one thing, especially in the beginning when starting this work, when our budget was a whole lot smaller and we were a little less capable of supporting other communities, is getting calls from communities and saying, you know, sorry, you're not one of ours, so we can't help you. So we created a community response team that allows us to work with communities that might not be labeled as a priority community. So you might not have 2 assigned violence interrupters in your community. However, you can still work with ones and other community members to say, hey, here's what we need. Here's what we have here already. People who can offer a service or an opportunity or resource already in our communities. How can we work together to increase our safety here or just increase our engagement and camaraderie amongst us? So we're totally open to work with you all to do that directly. In terms of connecting with the work, we do offer a restorative justice training that's also open to community members. And I'm so glad that we decided to mix that up. And so instead of having a class with all community members and a class with all violence interrupters, each class we mix it up and have a mixture of community members, violence interrupters, other clinicians or professionals who are in the training. So we have a lot of different perspectives in the room and we're getting trained all together and just offering each other something different as we go. And like you said, a better way to engage just the normal neighbor next door person who just wants to be involved and wants to support and wants to be a part of the healing or the turnaround in a community. So if you guys have some specific needs over on that Mount Vernon side, send me an email directly and we can schedule to do just a chit chat, like what are those needs? How can we help? Are there some key people that we can empower to support that community? And we'd be totally open to do that. We do kind of go beyond those lines and blur those lines when it comes to supporting. A lot of the boundaries we draw are more related to the wars we're in than they are to what streets land where, because our communities are at war and are broken down crew by crew. And the wars are very specific, and the areas that consider themselves a part of that crew is very specific as well. So we don't mind blurring the lines to support communities who might not be tied to this particular war, but just still need, community empowerment and support.
Great. And if you could just put your email in once you're on the other side as a participant, if you could just put your email back in the Q&A, that'd be wonderful. I'd be happy to email you.
Thank you, will do.
Thanks for that. And Dana, that has me out with one other question, which is, is there, considering that we hear from the police every month, like, wouldn't it be appropriate for your group or related ones to be reporting out to the service, the ANCs within your service area to give us and updates on what we are, what maybe we could or should be seeing, and also to listen to what we are reporting. If our constituents are talking to the police about problems, you may want to hear what those are and be able to take notes and sort of try to triangulate some of your strategies around those things. So might you be willing to come back, regularly and join this call or similar calls with other commissions?
Absolutely. So I'm always willing to join any call that you invite me to. And this is the first call since onboarding the awardees, awarding the vendors for your community just 4 days ago. So I'm like the introduction. Moving forward on the next call, myself, I'll be joined by the Ward 5 Network, the actual team that will be there. He actually intended to join me today, but he has to interview a potential violence interrupter from Edgewood, and we didn't want to miss this opportunity because their schedule was click-clacking, so we had to, I waived this time. But Jermaine Borum will join us next time. He's more of the program lead that kind of floats from community to community, leading the way in the VI work, really leading the way with the programming as well for that whole Rhode Island stretch. So he'll be attending, and each month you'll expect someone from that team to be attending these meetings, making sure that they're sharing information, listening to the information being provided, and really working collectively with you all to put the things in place that fit, that you want to see, that are needed. So today's day one and month one, but moving forward from here, someone will always be on. Anytime you think I should jump on and join, always flag me and let me know, and I'll hop on to support Jermaine as well.
Yeah, thank you for that so much. I'll make sure to include you on any subsequent invitations, and you can forward those to others who you want to assign or feel like have something to contribute at upcoming meetings. And we really look forward to having you. I think we have one question from Jean, who's back from our Charles Allen's office.
I was just curious. Thank you so much, Dana, for being here. And I know that the work you're doing is really critical in this area. The question I had was maybe for Jermaine, maybe for you. I would really like to know if you're working with the roving leaders at DPR, and how we can help you be connected into the neighborhood leaders, if there's anything I can do for that, but also what is the one's presence going forward, and obviously this community is super interested in helping you, but I just wanted to let you know that, but also ask where you are. I know you're brand new, so thanks.
No, great question. So yes, the roving leaders, that was one of the original starting points when we began our approach and introduction into the community to kind of get what we like to call a license to operate. So we've been working closely with roving leaders. The rec has some closure issues going on where it's not as open as often as we'd like. So we started to use, I believe it's the Cambria Hotel is the name of it. Please pardon me if I'm mispronouncing the name of the hotel, just across the street, where we've been able to do some restorative justice groups there. But we've been really working close with Danny Hunter and her team over at KDP Rec. They are still willing to open the doors to let us do a group there once every other week, possibly. But with the renovations they're doing, eventually that might get bumped out. But once the renovations are complete, they'll be open to giving us a particular space where we're able to do groups, workshops, anything that's needed for our at-risk guys. That way, there are a lot of the services we can bring to them, and they don't have to go to, because safety and travel is a big issue with a lot of our young Black boys in the district. They can't get on Metro. They can't be seen traveling in cars because of the wars. So bringing those services to them will be huge, and the rec is totally open to that. And then we'll continue to work with them to do they're going to work to help us do those more visible things that we just talked about in the previous question, kind of making sure we're there for the outdoor events, having on our violence interrupter branding. We do have a new logo that we're rolling out that's easily visible, easily seen. You guys should be able to tell who's a VI based on either his lanyard or his hat or his shirt or some kind of swag he should be wearing that kind of brands him or herself as a violence interrupter. So roving leaders are going to help us kind of on the comms side with promoting ourselves. And then with the community leaders, yes, please send us a list of names of those individuals who are stakeholders, leaders, OGs, grandmas, former coaches who've been in the community, have a hand that people know that either have influence or relevance or can make an impact. We would love to see that if you can send it so we can begin to engage those individuals, especially when we start being specific in our strategies towards A, resolving some of the wars, or B, meeting some of the key needs. When we did do groups around there with the guys, there are a lot of homeless, jobless boys right there. I mean, it is so saturated that I had to kind of go back to the drawing board, like, okay, I need to think of ways I can herd them. These little one-offs will not have as much of an impact because there's so many of them couch surfing, school dropouts, not working, desperate to do anything that we bring. So we're working on that, figuring out, like there's a welding program on 295 that we're thinking about targeting, like, hey, if we can get 10 guys at a time, have a bus that picks them up, take and pay them. We're thinking large scale like that so we can see less and less guys outside all day in pain, out there sick and hurt and spreading it around. And it's not gun violence, it is gun virus. And all of them are hurting each other, people who are right next to them. Nobody has an enemy across town. Everybody's enemies is right next door because that's how a virus works. And those boys are really down and out and sick and desperate. And the drugs got them really sick. So we really need to work to kind of redirect them in the masses. So any strategies or ideas or leaders that can help us with that would be awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Do we have any additional comments or questions from the community at this point? So seeing none, Dana, thank you so much for your time this evening. We ran a little late, but I think it's really important that we hear from you, that we're excited to see that you're here helping make a difference in our community. Yeah, we're really happy to continue to have you and your team report out to us and chime in and listen to hear what's going on. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Okay. On to the next item of the agenda, item 10, into the zoning portion of the committee. We have Jamie Weinbaum from Mid-City to discuss the plan unit development at 1707 8th Street Northwest.
Can Ed move over Tony Brown? He's going to talk because I wasn't at the committee meeting.
Great.
Thanks, Ed.
Hi, commissioners. Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Real quick, we're going to have Tony give an intro.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that
No
one.
worries. No, that's fine. Hi, Tony. You coming through?
Good evening.
Welcome, Tony. How are you? Thanks for joining us today.
All right, no problem. 1707 8th Street Northwest is a new development coming up as a PUD. They have basically done an outstanding job developing diagram of the new building. They have put a lot of thought and effort into this project. I think they had a couple of challenges as far as the number of affordable units that they would provide. They have exceeded that goal, requirement plus an additional 7. They have done a great job on even providing parking for this facility. The PUD basically is going to replace what is currently 4 apartment buildings, and they're going to make it a single building that will basically cover the entire surface of the 4 previous buildings. They had a wonderful community benefits package. I think there are like 8 or 9 awards, totaling about $153,000. Likes of the Citizens Organized for Patrol Efforts, Shaw Dog Park, Westminster, Kennedy Rec, Judah Project.
I don't know them.
Shaw Community Center, Friends of Shaw Library, and Shaw Main Streets. $153,000 worth of community benefits. There were 4 of the committee of 6 that approved us making a recommendation for this project. We had 1 that abstained and 1 that disapproved of the project. So the majority of the committee basically approved the project. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jamie.
Thanks, Tony.
Great. Commissioner Eichler, should I share my screen or do you want to bring up the presentation?
Why don't you go for it?
Okay. Okay, hopefully you can all see that. Thanks very much for having me again. I will be brief. I've been a number of times and presented about this project at 1707 8th Street. Again, I'm Jamie Weinbaum with Mid-City. The project is bounded by S Street, 8th Street Northwest, the southern entrance to the Shaw Metro, the Shaw Howard Metro Rail Station, and a public alley on the east side. And just some facts about the project, as Tony Brown had said, there were 4 garden style buildings on the site that are vacant. We stopped leasing at the property several years ago and have designed a 9-story rental apartment building that will be concrete with brick facade, large windows, and lots of balconies. We'll have approximately 317 units, of which 15% will be affordable. So that's about 7% above what is required. These will be units reserved for people making up to 60% of median income. So that'll add nearly 50 affordable units where there were none before. That was a market rate development before. 20% of the units will be 2- and 3-bedroom apartments. We'll have 1 level of below grade parking underneath the site, providing approximately 93 parking spaces. All of our parking and loading and trash will be accessed from the public alley and internal within the building. And some of the amenities will include a pool, a fitness center, and a club room. So I'll show you a few images in a brief second. Just in terms of timeline, I think it's helpful to just show that we've been engaging with the community on this for a while now. We've had discussions with council members, with ANC commissioners, other community groups, civic associations, and whatnot. We held a virtual open house in January and then presented several times to the zoning committee and this full ANC. We filed our zoning application at the end of February and had it set down, meaning the zoning commission voted unanimously in favor of providing us a public hearing. And that public hearing is scheduled for October 20th. So we're here tonight seeking our vote in advance of that meeting. In terms of proffers and community benefits, I apologize that this is a little bit small. I tried to fit it onto one page, but just to reiterate a few of the points that Tony raised, we believe we're providing as proffers and benefits superior urban design in terms of our exterior materials and outdoor spaces and distinguished architectural details. We're providing more housing than would have been required through a matter of right development. 15% total of the ground floor area will be reserved as inclusionary zoning units, which is 7%, as I mentioned, above the requirement. 16 of the units will have 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms are an important component of this development and of the city's goals. The building will achieve LEED Gold designation and certification. We'll have at least 700 square feet of photovoltaic panels or solar panels on the rooftop. We are going to ensure that there's a bump out curb added to both the southeast corner of 8th and S, as well as the northeast corner of 8th and R, to make the corners around 8th Street safer for pedestrians and slow traffic down there. We are going to pay for 3 additional plates to expand the Capital Bike Share station at the Metro entrance there. which is, I think, around $33,000. And then we're going to make donations, some of which were stated before, to the Friends of Shaw Library, the Shaw Community Center, the Judah Project, Kennedy Rec Center, the Citizens Organized Patrol Efforts, the Westminster Street Playground, and the Shaw Dog Park. So those are the proffers and community benefits we've spoken to a number of different neighbors about. Just real briefly, these were some of the design precedents that we looked at. I've shown this before, so I don't want to belabor any of these points, but it is important just to remind you all of some of the details that we've been working through here, also in coordination with the Office of Planning. These are a few views. This is looking south down 8th Street with S in the foreground. This is looking again at the S Street facade. This is the view with sort of our jewel box building at the Metro Plaza at 8th and R. And then importantly, this is the alley side also from 8th and R by the Metro. And you've seen we put a lot of detail into plentiful outdoor spaces and balconies. We actually added this interim facade between the sort of jewel box and the remainder of the alley facade, and added more balconies in here as well. And then I also want to show a rooftop view, which shows you our plans for the pool on the roof and some outdoor seating opportunities. And then this is an example of some of the solar panels as well as the green roof that we'll have for the project. I've shown this before as well, but I want to show you the plentiful street trees and the opportunity we'll have for a green buffer because we'll build to our property line, but there's wide enough opportunity to ensure a nice green buffer and that we're still maintaining no less than an 8-foot sidewalk. So those are just a few images and some information about the project. Happy to entertain any comments or questions from the commissioners and other folks. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie, for that. Sorry, Tony, did you have another comment?
Yes, I did. I didn't see Shaw Main Street in your list of community benefits. Did that
So
change?
I was going to go ahead and make a statement about that.
Okay.
Sure. So yeah, Jamie, thanks for that presentation. You know, I'm excited about the prospect of new housing and especially the prospect of new affordable housing coming to the community here in Central Shaw. I'd like to point out that yes, the community benefits proffer has changed since it was presented to and supported by the committee last week, the zoning committee. In the initial call that I had with Mid-City to discuss the benefits package, it was a while ago. It was like Thursday, the 16th of June. And during that call, I was informed that one of the Mid-City team members who was on the call was also a board member of Shaw Main Streets, and kind of thought about it a while, and I chewed on it, and sort of after the benefits package was discussed on Thursday, I sort of made the connection that there was really a conflict of interest between the board member of a beneficiary of the proffer, you know, being a team member of the project team, and also, you know, having even been on the call where they're discussing the package. So with that, I decided that from my perspective, I didn't feel comfortable including Shaw Main Street, though I will say that I will very much in support of the organization, Shaw Main Street's organization, and the Clean and Safe team particularly. But due to the conflict, this perceived conflict, I can't, in good faith effort, in good faith, can't support the inclusion of the Shaw Main Streets in the community benefits package. So that is why it has no longer been listed. And Jamie, would you like to say another comment about a follow-up onto that?
Yeah, you know, we had good conversations with the commission, and obviously Tony, as you indicated when we were presented last Thursday, and we're still very aligned with you know, the Clean and Safe team and that effort. So, you know, sort of I think where we're going to land is that regardless of whether it's a listed proffer on the ANC's resolution, we still intend to make the $20,000 donation to the Clean and Safe team. And that is something that we vetted and can continue to move forward with and report to the zoning commission. So it would still be incumbent upon us to make that that contribution. It just wouldn't live in the ANC's resolution, but for all intents and purposes, that same contribution will be made to the Clean and Safe team.
Okay. All right.
Thank
I have no other comments. Just like I said, the majority of the people, they support this project. So that's our recommendation to the full ANC.
Thanks so much. And so any questions from the commissioners? And actually, Jamie, would you mind bringing your screen down so we can see each other's faces again?
Sure, I'll stop the share. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
How soon are they looking to get this project completed?
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
How soon are they looking to have this completed, started and completed?
So once we have verbal approval from the zoning commission, which would hopefully be, at the end of the year with the hearing in late October, we would continue forward with design and hope to get in for a building permit, late next year in 23, with hopes that we could start in the second to third quarter of 2024. So kind of the middle of 24 would be the goal.
And how long would it take to finish it?
Approximately 2 years.
2 years.
Yep. And we will absolutely come back when it progresses and talk about construction and all the different pieces of that, which are so critical. And,
yeah. Okay. It's definitely a long-term investment in the community. Any other comments from commissioners? Okay, great. I have one in the Q&A from Ibrahim. What about the jobs and business opportunities for residents and biz owners?
So, there isn't retail, but there is opportunity, number one, for construction, as well as, permanent jobs with respect to the building once it's operational. And so we're happy to continue to work with the commissioners to figure out, job fairs and other opportunities so that we can engage members of the community in that regard. We're also going to work with some of the organizations who are receiving some of the profit funds that we mentioned to see if we can align to help with jobs and Shaw.
Great, thanks. And we also have John Shaw, speaking of Shaw, for a comment.
Yes, I'd like to address the commissioners, of which there's barely a quorum today. I protested against this project. I first saw the project proposed in February, and it was not routine, but it was common that buildings that built far fewer parking places than apartments, they would sign covenants blocking their residents from on-street parking. I understand the district's position of buildings near metros, that they shouldn't have so many parking places, but to really make the city's vision complete, you really can't have people who don't have parking in the building parking on the streets. And I think to not ask the covenant of this sort from this building prejudices the buildings that signed these covenants before. The woman who presented to the committee said that there's no reason to have the covenant because it can't be enforced. Well, over the last day, I've spoken with a council person, and this person told me that the city is in the process of developing a system where such covenants could be enforced, and that it was important to have the covenant at the get-go rather than trying to go back and negotiate. And so I'm asking that this whole issue be postponed to have more commissioners present and have more discussion about this issue. There are 5 other large buildings that are going to be built within a 2-block radius. And I think if we don't start a pattern now, we're going to have 5 buildings that are going to engulf any public parking that is on our very modest streets. The community engagement that the group did was on 8th Street, but it was on the south side of Rhode Island Avenue. So this is an entirely different neighborhood. And they didn't have to do the residents on 8th Street north of S Street because they're in a different ward. So these projects that fall on these ward boundaries often fall through the cracks. I did canvass the entire 8th Street from S to T, and I handed out brochures, and there was there was almost universal. There was a single person who supported the project. All of the other residents did not. So I think it's ingenuous to say that they did community outreach when they only did outreach within Ward 2 and on the other side of Rhode Island Avenue. So I think the whole issue is very messy and very sticky, and I think it needs longer consideration. And I think it needs consideration by the whole of the ANC. That's all I had to say.
I have a question for John.
Yeah.
John, hey, I'm sorry I missed the meeting last week. John, what are you talking about a covenant? Are you talking about them not getting the residential parking, or what are you referring to?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I know that idea that has gone back and forth. It is exhausting to talk about, but what council member did you talk to?
Well, I don't know if I have to say that. It
Sure,
was Councilman.
at 100% you do, because was it all
Okay.
transparency?
It
Who did
was
you talk to, John?
It was Councilmember Pinto. I spoke with her yesterday on the 4th of July.
So,
And
so
she
listen,
said that the district is organizing a method where this could be enforced. So the argument, and it's not the only argument for or against, but the argument that we don't need the covenant because it can't be enforced, I think we may have in the next year or two a way of enforcing these covenants. And I think it has a very serious impact on the neighborhood.
So I'm actually with that idea, John, but I know because of my research and, you know, because of the stuff that happens in my, I mean, I don't have to go on about stuff that happens in my area, that idea just does not seem to go far with DDOT. And so,
Well, because DDOT and the Division of Motor
you know, it's more
Vehicles,
like an idea. Yeah, correct, both. But it never seems to move forward, or there's one building, a Navy Yard that has it and all this, and no one seems to know, and it never seems to get straight. And maybe Pinto, well, that'll be a goal for her,
Well,
but
I asked
I'm
her-
not sure it has if we can hold off on this for that, because nothing's
Well, if it's
happening with
not
that
in-
right now.
well, if it's not enforceable in the future, then what difference does it make if there is one? I mean, the Shaw building on my street signed such a covenant. And like I said, to not ask that of this building and the 5 that are coming after, I think it prejudices all the other buildings that did sign these kind of agreements. And it is a matter of DDOT and the Division of Motor Vehicles sharing a database or something more extensive. And from what Councilperson Pinto told me, it is a plan that is more complex than sharing a database. But that it is on the boards because it is something that has come to the council's attention.
Let me ask, Jamie, do you have any?
I'm not trying to
Sorry,
block the
John.
project.
Sorry, John, I'm gonna ask Jamie if he has a response to any of your specific comments about your outreach program or anything else that you'd said.
Sure. Yeah, no, in general, I appreciate your feedback, John. We've spoken a number of times in these meetings. And, you know, frankly, you know, the public outreach that I listed on there is really not even all of the different meetings we've attended and all the folks we've spoken to, despite the virtual environment that we found ourselves in. You know, it started with trying to publicize as widely as possible a virtual meeting in January. And then from there, having many other virtual meetings and discussions. We have a gentleman on our team who's literally knocked on every door and put flyers under doors. And that doesn't just go within 6E. We've worked, I've spoken with the commissioners in 1B. We've worked across those lines. We've spoken with Councilmember Pinto as well as Councilmember Allen when this was his ward. And, you know, so I do disagree with you respectfully as to the public outreach, and I'm here. I'm happy to give you my information and continue to engage on this. So to say that we've done anything other than that, I do disagree with. Specifically on the parking though, you know, we really do think hard about this. And I've said this before, but it starts with working with professionals and engaging with traffic engineers and consultants and trying to really get the parking right, so that it isn't that we're providing way too much parking, because I know that that can be an issue. We don't want to encourage additional vehicles, but it's also about providing adequate spaces for those who are going to have cars in the building. And so the minimum requirement for this site, I believe, is 52 parking spaces, and we're providing 93. And we've had plenty of folks who said that's too much parking, you're next to a metro station, and we can have that conversation as well. There are feelings on all sides of this matter. Parking is very tricky. Our goal is to get it right so that we have parking for those who are insistent and will have cars, but to not in any way encourage that. Parking is not necessarily cheap, but it is there for folks. We believe the majority of people living in the building are going to take metro or walk or take bikes or other modes of transportation, micromobility modes, and not be in cars. But we think our parking is adequate. So we, and our analysis is that we do not believe this is going to put a strain on parking spaces in the neighborhood. That said, beyond that, the concept of limiting some residents, some who live in apartments, as in treating them differently from some who might own homes, some of the affordable residents, right, who are going to be living in the units in this building and saying they have no rights to get a parking permit, but that somebody else would, just doesn't sit well with me from an equity perspective. So our goal was to get it right, but not to impose a covenant that, as Commissioner Nigro said, right now, according to DC government, we've spoken to DDOT and DMV, cannot be enforced, and something that we don't think has elements of fairness to all residents in this community.
Thank you so much for that comment. Do we have any additional comments from community members about the plan unit development? If you're on the phone, press *9. Plan unit development at 1707 8th Street Northwest. So hearing none, I'm going to move that ANC 6E support the planned unit development project located at 1707 8th Street Northwest, zoning case number 22-09, given the presentation we saw today, including the proffer and community benefits package as displayed on this presentation, provided I could get a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments about the motion from the commissioners? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, we haven't gotten to the no's yet. So Frank, you're blurred right now. So was that a yes?
Yes.
All right, so we've got 4 yeses and signify by saying aye for
Aye.
nays. Nays?
The nays.
Kevin was a nay. All right, so that is 4 ayes and 1 nay, and no abstentions because that's all 5 of us. So thank you very much, Jamie, for your presentation, your time over the last 7 months or so that we've been working on this. I'm really excited to see this coming up. In my mind, the best we can do for housing in DC right now is to build and to build affordable, and this project delivers both of those. Any delay would impact the community negatively, so I'm excited to see this moving forward.
Thanks
Thank
very
you for your
much,
time tonight. Okay. Tony Brown, on to the next item for you, which is zoning case 15-20, Sursum Corda.
Okay, Sursum Corda, they're in the midst now of completing phase 1 of the project at on First Street. This is formerly the Sursum Corda. They broke the development into 2 phases because they were trying to achieve various goals and size of the building, the units, and the like. So at this point in time, going into phase 2, they have had a couple of revisions in their plans. I think they increased the number of units that they were intending on building initially. They've increased it. I forgot the number. I'm quite sure Leila will basically update us on that. In addition to that, there's also a change in the retail space. Originally, the retail space was going to be in the sum total of something like 19,000 square feet. That's being reduced down to, I think, approximately 11,000 square feet. Other than that, everything basically remained the same. I think lately there may have been one other thing I might have overlooked, but I'll let Layla basically give us a briefing, and any other comments I'll come at the end.
And thanks for that. Before we jump, let me just note that I skipped item 11 and we're going to just do item 12 since I accidentally, and we'll come back to item 11. So my apologies to Meredith and Eric who are on the call for the zoning relief for 923, 927 5th Street. So go ahead, Leila.
Hi, for the record, Lila Batiste with the law firm of Holland and Knight.
Sorry.
That's okay. Commissioner Eichler, if you can also let Susie Teal in as a panelist in case we want to pull up her slides at the end of my presentation. I also want to introduce some other members of the team that are on the call. Julia Telzak, who represents the ownership and developer for the project, which is a partnership between Toll Brothers and L&M Development. And also on the call is Forrest Hayes, who's with Miller Beach, and they are going to be handling the community engagement for this project as it moves forward. And so I'm going to ask Forrest if he's on to put his contact information in the chat room or in the chat so that people who want to touch base with him can do so. And I'm going to share my screen, commissioners. Okay. And just quickly go through the presentation that we shared last week with Mr. Brown and the other members of the Zoning Advisory Committee. So as Mr. Brown noted, this is, we're approaching phase 2 of the Sursum Corda PUD. The original PUD, and Commissioner Nigro was part of these discussions and the approval process. The original PUD was approved in 2017 with 1,131 dwelling units, plus or minus 10%, and a maximum of 746 parking spaces. And as noted by Mr. Brown, the project has been divided into 2 phases. The south parcel is under construction, and the north parcel phase 2 is the subject of the current application. And so the project includes, I'm going to just skip to the next slide because the project includes an extensive benefits and amenities package that has been approved by both this ANC and the Zoning Commission back in 2017. And I've just listed a couple of the notable benefits and amenities for the project on this screen. As I noted, the south parcel is under construction with 345 units, including 51 units reserved for Sursum Corda households, and for the southwest building. And then the southeast building has 216 units, including 71 reserved for Sursum Corda households. And the construction of the south parcel, if you guys have gone by the site, is well underway and should be completed by the end of this year. So the pending application relates to the north parcel, which will have 2 buildings. The northwest building will have 350 units and 13 penthouse units. And the northeast building will have 332 units and 19 penthouse units. And there's varying heights for both of these buildings, which have been previously approved as part of the original PUD, which included for the north parcel approval of the height and massing for the project. So the pending application includes 2 requests, and they're on the screen for you for, oops, I'm sorry. The first is the modification of the development program. As Mr. Brown noted, we are making adjustments to the gross floor area of the building and the number of units. And although the number of units is increasing, the increase is already within the flexibility that has been granted by the Zoning Commission order. So in that regard, we're not asking for anything above what's already been approved by the PUD. And then, of course, the second request is the second stage PUD approval, which implements the building height, massing, and the development program that has already been approved, and then a large focus on the application is on building design. So, and the last slide here, we can go into it in more detail, but Commissioner Blackson asked about it at the Zoning Advisory Committee meeting This just includes, this slide shows the unit mix for both the northwest and the northeast buildings. So I'm going to stop my share so we can all see one another. At last week's Zoning Advisory Committee meeting, the committee voted to recommend approval of the application to the full ANC. As part of that recommendation, it was requested that the applicant engage in conversations with DC Public Library to talk about the possibility of supporting the relocation of the Northwest One Library at this site. The applicant agreed to do so, and in fact has reached out to Commissioner Lopez and Commissioner Blackson to start having those discussions. And so they will continue to work on that as we go through the process. I don't know if I noted the public hearing for this application is scheduled for October 17th. So with summer coming to a close very soon, we'd appreciate the ANC support of the application this evening. And before I close, I just want to make sure, Commissioner Eichler, I know you've given us 5 minutes on the agenda. Susie Teal can show a few slides that cover the building design if you think that would be helpful to the rest of the ANC.
I think we can afford a couple minutes to see what this looks like. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. I'll just take a few minutes of everyone's time. Thank you all. My name is Susie Teal, and I am with Cook Fox Architects, and we are the designers of the two parcels, and just want to talk you through a few of the images here. This is a view. We're standing on M Street looking south, and the project is broken into two buildings. As Lila mentioned, we have the Northeast building and the Northwest building. And you can see both buildings feature brick in a contrasting colors, kind of material chosen. We believe it's going to be complementary to the neighborhood. And we took great care in designing the buildings to think about what is the scale and how the buildings will fit into the neighborhood. So they have a series of kind of distinct step massings that kind of change the look and feel of the building as you move around it and help it kind of connect into its neighborhood. There's also along the ground floor, there was intent to design some kind of dynamic and interestingly scaled street front, and then both buildings are separated by a pedestrian, a publicly accessible pedestrian promenade. So I'll show the second image here is kind of a look and feel of the pedestrian promenade, looking at the entrance into the Northeast building, and the entrance to the Northwest building is here on the left side of the image. And then lastly, this is a view from south looking north on the Banner Lane that is separating the south parcel of the Sursum Corda development from the north parcel of Sursum Corda development. And there is a very distinct grade change in the building, or I'm sorry, as you kind of walk up the hill here. And the landscaping between the two buildings will have steps and ramps to make this fully accessible. And you can get a better look at how the buildings and kind of the stepped massing looks from the south side of the parcel, and trying to break down the scale of the building, help it knit into its community, and create a distinct character. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Susie. So Commissioner Eichler, that's all we have in terms of your presentation. I mentioned Commissioner Nigro being involved early on. I think Commissioner Wiggins, you might have been involved in the project very early on as well. So you guys have some of the history. And of course, we're happy to go over in more detail for any of the other commissioners here tonight.
Thanks for that. Tony Brown, do you have any additional comments?
I think Layla has basically satisfied one comment that I was going to make. The recommendation about the DC Public Library, that was going to be a caveat in our motion, but I'm glad to see that you all have moved forward and gone on and initiated that contact. But the development is beautiful. When the complete project is done, it's going to be award winning. I just feel it's just going to make the whole neighborhood just totally a different place. But good luck with your work. Thanks, team.
Great, thanks. And so for clarity, we are at the part of the process where you're coming to us for approval of phase 2, right? It's already been, the benefits have already been negotiated, and part of phase 2 is simply just to lock in or zoom in a little bit on what phase 2 looks like. Off of the work that you've already done in phase 1 and things becoming more and more real as the process is going along. And so you're specifying some specific changes from the previous iteration of phase 2, but those changes are within the parameters that you'd listed for phase 2. And now we're also adding in this twist, which is that you're investigating the possibility of homing the Northwest One Library, which would then sort of use the full amount of retail space that you had as part of the original phase 1 version, phase 2 plan. But then if that is not an option, then you're going to prefer to reduce.
Go back to what we originally proposed. Yeah. And so they've agreed. Yeah. So Commissioner Eichler, I would just say that the stage 2 PUD is really the implementation of the stage 1 approval. So it's an easier way of thinking of it. And then, yes, the applicant, I just want to be clear on the condition with regard to the libraries that the applicant will engage in conversations to see if the library can be accommodated. But, you know, I don't know if it can. I'm sure DCPL has specific criteria for housing libraries, but they're willing to have that conversation. So
great, good to hear. Do we have any feedback from other commissioners? Commissioner Nigro.
So just about the library, because I apologize, I missed the meeting on Thursday. So I'm all pro library, don't get me wrong, but wouldn't the space be too small? Because that was the complaint about our current library, that is too small. So I'm assuming that this, and I think it's a nice idea, et cetera, but wouldn't the space be too small for what people want for the, I don't know.
Commissioner Nigro, Commissioner Lopez raised it at the committee meeting. So we agreed to have that conversation with him and with the appropriate people at DCPL.
Okay. Great.
My sense in working on other public-private partnerships is that the project won't meet the specifications for library site, but we're open to the conversation.
Because going from small to small was not what people want. So this is the battle cry I heard about the current library. So, but thank you for considering it.
Any additional commissioner feedback? Any comments from the community? It looks like there is. Oh, that's a great question. Listed in the Q&A. What is being considered affordable housing for this project?
So the project is required to have, of the 1,100 units, 199 have to be affordable. And that is with an overall blended affordability level not to exceed 60% of MFI. Now, keep in mind 118 of the affordable units will house Sursum Corda, are reserved for Sursum Corda households at their current income level. So many of those households are well below the 60% MFI, and that's we have a few that are above, but they're not counted toward the affordable housing. But because there are many Sursum households that are well below 60% MFI, there's a blended affordability level across the project of 60%.
You know, off the top of your head, what the MFI is for that part of the city?
Do I? No, I don't.
And we have a question from Alex Padro. Hi, Alex.
No, he's on mute.
You're on mute, Alex. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
There you are. Thank you.
Yes. No, I just wanted to answer a question that was posed by Commissioner Nigro about the square footage on the current Northwest One library versus what the DC Public Library has requested be the ideal size. The current size is 4,500 square feet. DC Public Library has requested 19,000 square feet. Apparently there are exactly 19,000 square feet allotted for retail in the current plan for the building that we're discussing. Thank you.
Yeah. But, you know, Commissioner Padre, you're correct, but it's between two buildings and there's parking and other requirements. We're happy to entertain the conversation. I just don't want to set expectations. That's, you know, I want to manage expectations about what actually is required for a public library use.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
I agree.
So the 19,000 is split between two buildings.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so if there's no further comments from the community. And because the commissioner whose this area is actually not with us this evening, and I will go ahead and make the motion. Well, actually, Rochelle, would you care to make the motion? I mean, because you are a zoning chair.
I am, but so I think I might have it phrased right. So I move, correct me if this is not phrased right, Tony. I move that ANC 6E support the phase 2 of, I want to call it the Sursum Quarter project.
The Sursum Quarter PUD, that's
the Sursum Quarter PUD.
And the modifications.
And the modifications.
Including the flexibility of on retail space up to 19,000 square feet, including having discussions about
including the consideration of the public library space. How about that?
That's it. Okay. Do we have a second?
Okay.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Does that motion need like and communicate that support to somebody?
As amended. Okay. We now have any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. 5. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Eichler, first of all, thank you to the ANC. Commissioner Eichler, is it helpful that if we draft the letter?
It would be very helpful to draft some language that we can drop into our letter to make sure we get exactly what you need from this from us to get this project moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, happy to. Yeah, very, very thankful for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Okay. And now my sincerest apologies to item 11, who is now coming back. Sorry for skipping you. I got myself mixed up over here. So this is support for extension request for BZA order 19722, which is zoning relief for 923, 927 5th Street. I have a handful of people to add to the call. Thank you for your patience as I get you connected here. And were there some people on the phone as well that I needed to invite? Hi, Meredith. Hi there. So sorry for skipping your item earlier. I hope it was a fun show from the Sursum Quarter team.
Not a problem. Thank you very much. Good evening, Meredith Moldenhauer, Land Use Council for the applicant.
And is it just you on the call with us this evening?
Yes, it's just me.
Great, thanks. And Tony, would you like to give us an update on the committee business?
Being that I was substituting, I basically can tell you that this project had been previously approved. I believe there may have been some delays in getting some of the work done to get it beyond where it is. So at this point in time, budding, I think, expiration of the agreement. So of course we didn't talk about it at the zoning meeting, but I don't feel we have any reservations about approving an extension because I know they're working on it, and we'd rather it go ahead and continue on and get completed rather than it just sit there and do nothing. Good to see you, Meredith.
Great, thanks for that, Tony. You were breaking up a little bit during that, but the gist of it was that, you know, the project team was not able to attend on Thursday, but that we are in support of the extension. We'd like to see this property development moved forward. And am I missing anything from your comments?
No, you're not. That was good.
Great, thanks. And then Meredith, would you like to address the commission here with any additional feedback?
Absolutely, thank you so much. Yeah, so this project obviously went through BZA back in 2019. However, there was an appeal by 450K cap that delayed the project obviously more than what the applicant had wanted. But obviously that order and the appeal was affirmed, affirming the BZA approval in July 30th, 2020. That was obviously, you know, just a few months after the March pandemic had started in the District of Columbia. And so given that this project is a 152 unit hotel, the hotel obviously has had massive, significant, you know, impacts on the time. They're seeking this extension to be able to allow the approvals that they got previously to be extended for 2 years in order for them to move forward with the development.
Okay, thank you for that update. And any comments from the commissioners?
Hey, yeah, I've got some comments actually. So hey, Meredith, I don't think we had a chance to meet. I'm Patrick Parlay. I represent 6005, where this project is geographically located. So I often put out a note asking for feedback kind of the weekend before meetings. And I included this in the note, and I actually got some resident feedback, which I found a little bit, that put me a little bit on pause about the project. And essentially residents have observed that the property is unsecured, and it's resulted in becoming a little bit of an illegal dumping area, which has led to rodents. Large trash items like mattresses and couches can be found in the backyard space. I don't have a picture from today, but the pictures that I did see show that it's a property that's in pretty rough shape with piles of trash, overgrown brush, and graffiti lining the walls. So some really kind of not good neighbor behavior. I'd be happy to give you an opportunity to respond to that.
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, you know, I will inform my client, and I'm sure they will ensure they have a property manager go over to the property and clean it up. There's not much more I can say than, you know, now that I'm aware of it, I will inform my client, and I will ensure that they take action to show the community that they are, in fact, and want to show good neighbor behavior.
Hey, Meredith, I can't remember your client's name.
It's Klein Operations, and the principal is Brad Klein.
So they are well aware of this property being a hot mess. So they just need to get back there, clean it up, and secure it, and be done with it. They've been told this before, so this shouldn't be a problem for them. But it's a mess. So
this is the
please
first
help.
I'm becoming aware of it. I will follow up with them first thing tomorrow morning. Don't you worry about that.
I can send pictures because, well, Patrick can send pictures, but I'm over there almost every day too. It's a mess. Thank you.
Give an opportunity. I know we're still in the commission section, but if there are folks from my neighborhood who wrote in who want a chance to speak about it, I definitely want to loop them into, but I don't see any hands.
Stole my thunder. I was going to invite the community to make comments. And then Patrick, I'm going to turn it over to you to make the choice as to whether or not we make a motion, and if so, what it says.
Yeah, so I mean, just to talk about, I want to ask you guys, as sort of you've been around for longer, a few of you. So my inclination is to either not vote. I think, as I understand it, that would just be count as sort of an abstention on the record, and the ANC wouldn't go one way or the other. And the other thing to do would potentially be to vote to support, but add some conditions to that support. My concern is that the enforceability of the conditions that we often put on things is a little bit convoluted. So perhaps the ANC abstaining and sort of by way of Meredith saying, hey, like the ANC's got some real problems. The next time you come to the ANC, you might not get an abstention, you might get an opposition because we've told you this before and it's on the record. So I would ask you, Rochelle, you've been doing this kind of stuff forever, others, for your feedback or thoughts on that.
I say we vote to support. But I just think your client, Meredith, doesn't care, about the condition of that property. That's the honest answer I'm giving you. He needs to care. Put some effort into it.
And so what I would say, Commissioner Rogers or Wiggins, do you have any comments about what we might want to do at this point, given the state of the property?
How long has the condition been in this manner? This property been kept in this manner? Michelle, Patrick?
Probably 2 years at least.
2 years?
No, well, longer than 2 years. Because remember, this was, correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, this is Tony Chang's old property, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years.
So, and it's just that historic front, because the last time we dealt with it was the historic part and keeping the wording or whatever that is. And so again, your client is well aware of how this property is. Just keep it up. This is not a hard ask. Not to you, Meredith, but your client. So.
So again, one option is maybe not to abstain, but just to not take action on it. And then maybe the petitioners can come back to the committee meeting that they missed this past Thursday and attend it in advance of the September ANC. And then we can address it then. And if we still find that the property has not improved at all, then we can make another decision then. I mean, that's definitely within our purview.
I like that. I think that adds does that work with the deadlines for when we need to respond? Do you guys know?
I wasn't aware of a deadline, but is there a deadline?
We do an upcoming hearing date. Let me confirm that right now.
Got 2 years of unkept property. That's a lot of rats coming through that area. If you got trash being dumped, they need to get it clean.
Yeah, and this is in the middle of a bustling mixed-use corridor with lots of outdoor dining nearby. Outdoor dining and rats are not a good combo.
Yeah, they need to clean that property first before we do anything. And I think they need to do some continual maintenance of that property as well. 2 years is a long time to leave a property unkept. And they missed the meeting. I'm not impressed. But that's just me.
Frank, you sound like me.
I'm just trying to find the calendar date.
So, Meredith, why don't you communicate? I mean, I think if we put it to a vote, it may not win. So it might be better off to just push to the September ANC and the late August.
I think that's a great strategy because it builds in some accountability, and it's 2 months, which is enough time to reasonably take action, I think.
And if there's another deadline, then you can request them for an extension, because instead of having us be the ones to have to carry the water on that.
Yeah, so I would say I would ask the ANC to not act in this case and table it.
Well, maybe not support. If we don't act, then the board could consider that there's no answer from us.
But we will reconsider in September. So
well, when's the merit? Have you found the date that the hearing is?
I don't have a date yet. There's no date published yet.
We do have a hand from Mary Walker. I'm gonna unmute Mary just to see.
Why don't we vote not to support it then, Patrick?
There's no date right now. So you and obviously if there was a date, we would agree to postpone it prior to coming back to the ANC if that's something that the ANC is asking.
Okay.
Hi, Commissioner. This is Olivia again. I was just wanting to know, where is this property located that you're talking about?
925 to 927 5th Street Northwest.
Okay, thank you.
This is 5th and K Northwest.
Where
Okay,
Prost is in front of or behind Prost or whatever you want to find it.
okay, thank you.
So Rochelle, why vote to oppose and not just,
So if you're worried, then let's just oppose it and they can come back. Meredith doesn't know the date. They can come back in September.
They can clean it between now and then.
Yeah,
and then we can like be like, oh, we reverse our opposition?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I mean,
obviously, if I'm agreeing, if we're agreeing to, postpone or not to ensure there's no hearing scheduled right now. So, there's really, if you just take no action, then, we will agree to come back.
I would vote no, because they sent us official communication.
Yes, but as the applicant, we can always request a postponement. And, at the end of the day, if you want to see action on the property, getting the extension and being able to develop the project is in the community's best interest to see action on the property. And obviously, we will communicate this and we're happy to follow up and come to next month's meeting.
I think what's in the community's best interest right now is to get this property cleaned up. And the only leverage we have to do that is to.
I have support at this present time.
Okay.
Yeah, to oppose it. So, because Meredith, we like you, right? But I don't frankly trust your client.
It's not me.
Patrick, would you?
I don't trust any developer. So I say if this is Patrick's area, if Patrick is concerned, then let's oppose it.
Okay, I'll make a motion. You set. I move that ANC 6E vote to oppose the zoning relief for 923 to 927 5th Street Northwest, BZA order 19722, and communicate that opposition to BZA.
But you're not opposing the order because the order's already been issued. You're only opposing our request to extend the order by 2 years.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it would just simply, the order would die. And then
I'm good with that modification, or should I just re-say it, Michael?
I, for the record, why don't you re-say it?
Okay. I move that ANC 6E oppose the extension request for BZA order 19722 for zoning relief for 923 to 927 5th Street Northwest, and communicate that opposition to BZA.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, and do we have a vote from Commissioner Rogers? Do you have signify by saying? So do we have a vote from you, Commissioner Rogers, on the opposition to the extension request?
Yes.
Okay, great. So it's unanimous, 5 votes to oppose the extension of the zoning relief. Thank you very much, Meredith, for coming out this evening. We look forward to seeing you in 2 months to hopefully move all this stuff forward.
And we'll follow up, obviously, with Commissioner. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks, Meredith.
Okay, finally, we have made it through zoning, and we are now on to the ABRA committee. Thank you everyone for your patience being on this call. Had a handful of things to plow our way through so far. I'm bringing up our zoning committee chair, Alex Padro.
Thank you, Tony, for helping out this month.
Thanks so much. I think we have lost
You're welcome.
Alex Padro.
He was there.
He was there. He was on our side, actually.
He was there for a second. Give Alex maybe another second. Maybe he's.
There
Oh,
he is.
there we go. Hi, Alex. And by the way, I'm hearing some.
I was in Zoom limbo, waiting to get readmitted. So first case that we have this evening is a renewal of the license license. This is for the Cambria Suites Hotel. Do we have a representative with us this afternoon? Evening?
Sorry, I lost my assistant, so I have to go scanning through the list. Do we have Aaron Capel on the call? Please raise your hand, *9 if you're on the phone, Aaron Capel. Not seeing.
In any case, I can go ahead and present the basic information on this particular renewal. This is a Class C hotel license. The hotel is located at 899 O Street Northwest. Hours of operation are 24 hours, Sunday through Saturday. Hours of summer garden operation are 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily. There was no adverse activity on their investigative history in the last 2 years. So this is in Chairman Eichler's single member district. The committee did not have a representative present at its meeting last Thursday, so the committee took no action.
Okay, so given that, I will go ahead and just make a motion that we support the renewal of Class C hotel license for the Cambria Suites, Washington City Market, 899 O Street Northwest, and communicate that support to APRA. Get a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Do we have Kevin?
I get my mic up. Aye.
Okay, that's five votes. Okay, on to the next one. Thank you.
Next case is also at City Market. This is a Convivial Restaurant at 801 O Street Northwest. Do we have a representative from Convivial present?
Let's see. Here we go. Hi there.
Great.
Hi, this is Saeed Azali. I'm Cedric's partner. Hi,
Great.
Alex.
Glad to have you, Saeed.
Very good. Good to see everybody.
Yes, I'm just going to run through the particulars on this particular license renewal. It's a Class C restaurant at 801 O Street Northwest. Hours of operation are 7:30 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 3 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Hours of summer garden operation are 7:30 a.m. to 12 a.m. 7 days. And there were no negative findings in the investigative history in the past 2 years. The committee was pleased to have chef and co-owner Cedric Mapoulier participate in the committee's meeting last week, and the committee did vote to recommend that the full commission support the renewal of this application. So Saeed, is there anything that you'd like to share with the commission and the community about your current operations or any future plans, changes?
At this time, everything gonna stay the same way that we're doing. Hopefully there'll be less crime. I was listening to all the things that was going on with the police, and it's all over the city. Adams Morgan is the same way. They don't want to do anything about anything. So this is nothing new, and I feel bad. And we need to change this. We need them to walk around instead of sitting in their car.
Thank you for that comment. And as a business owner, you're welcome to make those comments during when the MPD is presenting during these meetings.
No problem, Michael. Thank you
so much.
Well, this license is in Chairman Eichler's single member district.
Great. So given that, thank you for coming out this evening. I'll make a motion to support the renewal of the Class C restaurant license for Convivial at 801 O Street Northwest and communicate that support to ABRA. If I can get a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we've got 5. Thank you very much for coming out this evening.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the next item, Alex. Oh, we're actually moving 15 down to the end, right?
Oh, I didn't hear that, but happy.
So when we updated the agenda at the beginning, we moved 15 down to after 23. So thank you for that.
That's fine. So 600T is next. So this is a Request for support for a substantial change to this Class C tavern license. Is Stephen Lawrence on the line, owner operator?
I am not seeing Stephen Lawrence.
Or any other representative from 600T? I'll go ahead and present the request in the meantime. So the substantial change that's requested is the addition of an entertainment endorsement to offer live entertainment inside the premises, very specifically inside, not outside. They do have a significant rear summer garden. And the intention of both the applicant and the community is that this entertainment endorsement only apply to the service inside of the premises. Current hours of operation and alcoholic beverage sales are Sunday, 12 p.m. to 2 a.m., Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. to 2 a.m., Friday and Saturday, 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. And the proposed hours of live entertainment are Sunday through Thursday, 7 p.m. through 11 p.m. The committee did have a presentation from owner Steve Lawrence at last Thursday's committee meeting. And through a motion made by Commissioner Lopez, and which was agreed upon by the owner, a settlement agreement would be entered into, whereupon it reinforced that the entertainment endorsement would only apply to the interior operation, not to the exterior, and that while entertainment is being provided, all windows and doors to the interior of the establishment shall remain closed. Chairman Eichler, do you know whether or not the settlement agreement has been signed by the applicant?
It has been signed by the applicant, and I have a copy of it in front of me, and I'm excited to sign it once we have had approval from the commission.
So the committee did, approve that motion made by Commissioner Lopez, recommending support for the substantial change to 600T's license contingent on the execution of the settlement.
Great, and considering that Commissioner Lopez isn't here with us this evening, someone else has got to make the motion on this one. Could we think Commissioner Nigro, would you be willing to do that?
Sure. So wait, are we talking about the settlement agreement too?
Yes.
Okay. So I move that ANC 6E support the substantial change of a retailer's Class C tavern license for 600T located at 600T Street Northwest, and also support the settlement agreement, and we communicate this to Abra.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I think Patrick was first on second. Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
And do we have Kevin on this?
Yes.
Okay, that's 5. Thank you very much. On to the next item.
Next is Capital Burger. This is in Commissioner Nigro's single member district. Do we have a representative from Capital Burger this evening?
Matt, anyone? I called Alex, I called Capital Burger, I sent Matt another email. I think they're all doing a little double duty over there at Capital Burger. So
Yeah, I'm not seeing anyone on the call.
anyone from
All right.
Capital Burger?
Go ahead and run through the particulars of this particular license renewal. This is a Class C restaurant license at 1005 7th Street Northwest. Hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Hours of sidewalk cafe operation are 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays, and there were no adverse actions on their investigative history for the past 2 years. The Capital Burger did not have a representative at the committee meeting last week, so the committee took no action.
And so as you all know, I put out, whenever there's an ABRA concern, I put out everything to my constituents. And the only concern I got was that they don't serve onion rings. So that's the only concern I got about Capital Burger. But I haven't heard anything negative, and I'm glad that they're very busy currently. The end. So. Can I make
Any
a motion?
comments from commissioners or the community? Okay, Commissioner Nigro.
Okay. I move that ANC 6E support the renewal of the Class C restaurant license for the Capital Burger, which is located at 1005 7th Street Northwest, and we communicate this support to ABRA.
A second
Second.
from Kevin. And further discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's 5. Great, thank you. On to the next one.
Next case is also in 6004. This is Kinship and the Metier, located at 1015 7th Street Northwest. Do we have a representative from Kinship?
Eric's on.
Great,
Hold on,
let's hear that.
Chef Eric's on.
Eric Zebold is here. Hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays. There is no summer garden, and there were no negative findings on investigative history in the past 2 years. Unfortunately, we did not have a representative present at the committee meeting last week, so the committee took no action. Mr. Zebold, you're welcome to make any comments about your restaurant's current operations and any proposed potential future changes. I'm sure that the commission and the community would be very eager to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, we're still here. We're still in business. Currently only operating, 5 nights. If anybody has any staff, send them our way. We're happy to be part of the community, and would like to think we're contributing something to the neighborhood.
So as we all know, I'm very pro-business, and I'm honored to have, I love all my restaurants, don't get me wrong, but to have Kinship Metier be the Michelin star restaurant in 6004 is outstanding. And we love it. We love it. And you guys do a great job. It's fantastic. I have heard only outstanding compliments about Kinship / Metier. So
thank you.
All positive. So, Alex, do they have the license under 2 different, or is it 1?
No, the license is listed as Kinship / Metier.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, we'll make sure. Okay. Any other comments? No.
Yeah, comments from commissioners or community? Okay, Rochelle?
Okay, I move that ANC 6E support the renewal for the Class C restaurant license for Kinship Metier, which is located at 1015 7th Street Northwest, and we communicate this to ABRA.
Second.
And do we have a, and any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Bye, Chef.
Thank you. Thank you much. Take care.
So the next 3 renewals are all in Commissioner Parlay's single-member district. The first is Alta Strada, City Vista, at 465 K Street Northwest. Is there a representative from Alta Strada present? We'll go ahead and review the particulars. This is a Class C restaurant license. Hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, Friday and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. Hours of sidewalk cafe operation, 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, Friday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. And again, no negative findings in their investigative history for the past 2 years, and no representative present at the committee meeting last Thursday.
Okay, we do have Tavis Gray here this evening.
Yes, Mr. Gray, good evening. Are there any comments that you'd like to make related to the restaurant's current operations or any potential or planned changes in operations in the near future that the commission and the community should know about?
He's having technical
I think
difficulties.
his audio isn't working.
Yeah, he can't hear us.
No, so I think we're gonna have to just move on, I think.
The only comment I would make is that I put a call out, as I often do before these meetings, to see if any residents had feedback, and got no negative feedback on these guys. So paired with that and their investigative history, I think I'm pretty comfortable voting to support it.
Any comments from the community? And hearing none. Commissioner Parley?
I move that ANC 6E support the renewal of Class C restaurant license for Alta Strada located at 465 K Street Northwest, and communicate that support to Abra.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 And then Kevin?
Aye.
Okay, that's 5. Thank you. Okay, and on to the next item.
Which is Toscana Market at 400 K Street Northwest. We have a representative from Toscana Market. Hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 3 a.m., Friday and Saturday. No investigative findings. And we do have Daniel Catalani on the Zoom call. So Mr. Catalani, welcome. If you can unmute yourself and let us know if there's anything you'd like to share about Toscana Market's current operations or any potential upcoming changes in your operations.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yep.
we can.
Yes. Hi. So, well, no, there's no changes. We just basically keep doing what we regular hours, and we've been doing a little more of cooking classes recently. So we tend maybe to stay longer, but the grocery store closes at 8. And the cooking classes are sometimes a little over 9 p.m. But that's it. That's the only change we have.
Okay, thanks for that. Any questions from the commissioners?
From my perspective, similarly, no negative resident feedback on these guys.
Any comments from the community? And hearing none, can I get a motion?
I move that ANC 6E support the renewal of Class C restaurant license for Toscana Market located at 400 K Street Northwest, and communicate that support to Abra.
And a second?
A second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Did I get Rochelle? Did I get you on that?
I'm sorry. Aye. Aye.
That's 5. Next item.
Hey, sorry, real quick, Alex, are they a restaurant license or are they a grocery?
They have a Class C restaurant license.
Okay, cool.
So thank you, Mr. Catalani.
Thank you, sir.
Next is Mandu, 453 K Street Northwest. Do we have Danny Lee or another representative from Mandu on the line?
Not seeing Danny. Do we have Avery? If you're on the phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand.
So their hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Hours of Sidewalk Cafe operation are 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. No negative investigative history in the past 2 years. We did have Danny Lee online, and maybe we have him again. Is that you, Mr. Lee? 571 number?
We're getting him through. Hello, sir.
Hello. Sorry, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right. Sorry about that.
have any comments on Mandu's current operations or your future plans that you'd like to share with the commission and the community, please do so.
Like I said last week, we're still not at full hours and full capacity as we were pre-pandemic. We are just trying to staff back up, and also, everyone just, we're trying to make a work-life balance a little bit easier for us and our team. So for right now, the bar's only open 4 nights a week, and we're trying to make that 7. But for right now, we've drastically reduced our hours. I think we're out of there usually by 10 or 11 each night. So again, slowly but surely we're getting back, but we're not there yet.
Any questions from the commissioners? Comments from the community? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Similarly, no negative resident feedback on that one. And I can make the motion. I move that ANC 6E support the renewal of Class C restaurant license for Mandu located at 453 K Street Northwest and communicate that support to Abra.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I think that's unanimous. Okay, great. And then on to the next item.
Yes, that is Nicoletta Italian Kitchen at 901 4th Street Northwest. Do we have a representative for Nicoletta? Hours of operation are 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Hours of sidewalk cafe operation are 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days, and no negative investigative history for the past 2 years. There was no representative from Nicoletta present at the committee's meeting last Thursday, and the establishment is located in Commissioner Rogers.
Commissioner Rogers, would you care to make the motion?
Yes, I motion that the ANC support the renewal of Class C restaurant license for Nicoletta Italian Kitchen, 901 4th Street Northwest, and I communicate that support to APRA.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and that's another 5. Thank you so much. On to the next item.
And our final case is Rita Loco El Techo at 606 Florida Avenue Northwest. We have representatives, either owners or legal counsel. Louis Hankins, Daniel, there's Sidon. So hours of operation, 9 a.m. to 2 a.m., Sunday through Thursday, Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 a.m. Hours of summer garden operation, 10 a.m. to midnight, Sunday through Thursday, Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. Regrettably, there are 15 items of investigative history in the past 2 years. A number of them have been resolved through negotiated settlements between Abra and the Attorney General's office. However, where there is smoke, there is fire. This is a license that for its rooftop operation was granted as an experiment, and I speak as a former commissioner who was party to the original negotiations in allowing outdoor entertainment. And we had hoped that through strenuous use of available technologies for soundproofing, it would be possible to have outdoor entertainment on this rooftop without disturbing residential neighbors, especially since there were so few residential neighbors on the south side of Florida Avenue when the establishment was seeking this license. And unfortunately, through a number of settlement agreements that have not been abided by, we have a situation where there are significant negative impacts to adjacent residents. That I'm sure there are some community residents that are still with us even at this late hour to address this issue. We did hear presentations by both ownership and legal counsel for Rito Loco El Techo last week. Commissioner Lopez, in whose single member district the establishment is located, was present in the conversations. Ultimately, Commissioner Lopez made a motion which was concurred with unanimously by the committee that the commission should protest the license renewal for Rito Loco El Techo with the objective of hopefully coming to a point where it is possible to constrain Rito Loco El Techo's operations and negative adverse impacts on peace, order, and quiet, because we certainly would like them to continue to be a successful restaurant in our community, but at present, there does appear that their operations on the rooftop are incompatible with the peaceful enjoyment of adjacent residents' homes. So I report that out in detail on behalf of Commissioner Lopez, who unfortunately is not with us this evening.
And so, yeah, do we have any feedback from the applicants?
Yes, hi, Siren Johannes. I am here on behalf of Rito Loco, and Louis Hankins and Daniel Hatim are also here and are present, but I will just note, and I did miss a little bit as I was being promoted, but I will just say that in terms of some of we have been in discussions with Commissioner Lopez. There are some items that have been brought up. Ones in which we have been addressing, but I think where we are is that the critical issue for Commissioner has been noise concerns. We understand that there's been noise complaints made by residents. And I just want to point out a couple of things. And Commissioner Padro just mentioned the 15 items on the investigative agenda or the investigative history. As you all know, and I mean, he did state, while there are items on this investigative history, I want to just be clear, it does not necessarily mean that there have been violations. Some of those have in fact been dismissed. And I will also note, which I think is very important, is that almost half of them were directly related to the filings of quarterly statements. So it wasn't necessarily about the rooftop, and I just think that that's important to know. Another thing that I will state is in 2019, the last renewal process, we did go through where we had a settlement agreement with residents. And in that agreement, we outlined what would be, and I believe Commissioner Padro and Commissioner Padro, not Lopez, was involved in that, in which, sorry, Mr. Padro was involved in that, in which we outlined.
Commissioner, always a commissioner, it's fine.
Sorry. And what we would go ahead and put in place for the rooftop in terms of noise mitigation. And this was January 2020. So we needed to install certain things by June 2020 in terms of panels. Those panels have been installed. And I say all this to say that the establishment has continuously been in works with whether it's the residents or internally to try and mitigate whatever concerns have been raised. They've continuously worked with these residents. And I will say that they are open to discussing, as Commissioner Padro said, they're hoping and wanting to continue discussions moving forward. So if some sort of resolution can happen, we're open to discussing that. But I just wanted to mention these things because I do feel like it's important, particularly their investigative history and the work that they have done and continue to do, frankly, in making sure, trying to ensure that noise is not coming from the rooftop.
So Ms. Johannes, just for the record, I'll just go through, a handful of the items from the investigative history. The first item from December of 2021, failed to follow settlement agreement, produce noise from the establishment that could be heard from a residence. Second, November of 2021, increase the occupancy without approval, failed to follow security plan. Again, November of 2021, charge a cover charge without the endorsement. Again, November of 2021, produce noise from the establishment that could be heard from a residence, failed to follow settlement agreement. 11/20/21, increases occupancy without approval. Again, a handful of failed to comply with the mayor's order during the pandemic. And then again, September of 2021, failed to follow settlement agreement. July of 2021, failed to follow settlement agreement. June of 2021, failed to follow settlement agreement. I guess you can get the gist. So I just wanted to clarify that no, they weren't all paperwork violations that were alleged. There were significant issues, failure of compliance that were involved.
And my intention, and I apologize, I'm not trying to go back and forth on the investigative history. I'm happy to do so. I'm sure not everyone wants to go through this right now, but I just need to point out that I understand what you just read off. And of those there's 5 that are listed. We entered OIC, it was a global OIC. Those 5 matters specifically occurred between October 2021 and December 2021, which is some of the reason why we entered this, or the OAG agreed to enter into this global OIC. And if you go down to, I think you mentioned probably 12 through whatever it is. If you go down at, before the pandemic and you see their history, it's all the quarterly statements that I refer to. And I could read those off to you if you would like for me to. I think you get the gist of it.
I think we're okay at this point.
Okay.
I see a couple of hands up. Just out of curiosity, is this person Louis is part of your team, or is that a person from the public?
No, he is.
Okay. Would Louis like to say something? He has his hand up, or was he just trying to identify himself?
I believe his hand was up previously, but Louis, I think he was trying to identify himself initially.
Okay, that's fine.
No, I'm good.
Do we have any comments from the commissioners?
Yes. So, I mean, Alex Padro knows, and Frank knows, I have been down this road before with other restaurants / bars, and I just don't get the outrageous amount of disrespect that you have for the community. Just do right by the community, whether it's noise, and apparently the trash problem up there. What is the problem? Why can't you do right by the community? Hello?
Is that a rhetorical? Sorry, I didn't know if that was rhetorical. If you want me to answer.
Yeah. What's the deal with the trash and this? I mean, this should not be happening.
So regarding those are the issues that I said that I was talking to Commissioner Lopez about regarding the trash. The trash was in the alley. There was a zoning issue, and from my understanding, Commissioner Lopez, so long as we, file the correct in terms of the application before the BZA, that I don't want to speak for him, but I believe that that is not going to be an issue. But okay. I don't want to speak for him. He's not here, but in my communications with him, we are working with him on the trash issue.
Okay. I'm going to help with the trash issue because I can't stand hearing about it. And I deal with the director's office, frankly, almost every day about trash. So I'm including your organization in the conversation.
Okay.
And they respond to me. So I am, across the board, when I hear about this stuff, it makes me angry. You are making money from other residents, but it is complete and utter disrespect for the immediate community.
And I don't know if, and I don't mean to, and I don't know, when you say trash issue, I just want to be clear about it. I don't think that the issue is, if you're talking about, if you're meant, is it overfilling of the trash or the trash location?
It seems to be the overfilling, but I can always go check. I've noticed, I'm known for my on the scene stuff, so.
So I noticed that Louis.
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah,
this is Louis Hankins, I'm the owner of Rito Loco, El Tacho. I know that after we got off the call last week, that Steve Lawrence, who is our landlord, also the owner of 600T, whose property is adjacent to the alley, which the trash cans are at, originally gave me an easement to use the back property for our trash cans. This is a real brief history. Once COVID happened, 600T had to move into the back alley of his property. We could no longer access the trash. The trash then came out into the alley. We are 100% landlocked businesses. The alley is the only location. The problem with the pickup is not due to Louis Hankins, me, not picking up the trash. It is solely on the responsibility of Tinleytown Trash and that became Republic Services. I'm sure we are not the only person or business in DC that was affected by it. The route manager I have a great relationship with now. He's willing to write a letter in support of this. But when they went 3 or 4 months, they did not know which drivers were going where. They had no idea of this, that, and the other thing. Our trash did get missed, right? And that is a fact. And it was a mess. And I was there every time it got missed. I was calling people. It is a mess. I agree. I spoke to them today. After Steve Lawrence talked to Commissioner Lopez, we agreed to put 3 more cans out there. So if there ever is a day that it does get missed by the company, not us, that there won't be an overflow issue. Also, we're moving our recycling from 5 days a week to 7 days a week. So there should no longer be an overflow issue. And that was discussed with Steve Lawrence, who's the landlord that needs to provide us with trash locations, and Commissioner Lopez last Wednesday.
So the accountability stopped with you, not with the trash company. I mean, take hold of the situation, take ownership, for Pete's sakes.
So just to be respectful of everyone's time, we're coming up, it's past 9:30. I do have another hand from, I believe, a resident who wants to provide some feedback. Rami, can I ask you to talk here?
Yes, can you hear me, Commissioner?
You're coming through fine, thank you.
Yes, great. Thank you very much, Commissioner, and thank you, commissioners, for taking time to listen to us tonight and to give me the floor to speak tonight. I will try to be brief and respectful of your time. My name is Rami Badaway. I live in the 1900 block of 6th Street Northwest. I live there with my wife, Margot, my 4.5-year-old son, Nabil, and my 9-month-old daughter, Nora. We moved here in May of 2021. Before that, we lived at 10th and B Street in a condominium up above the American Ice and around the corner from Wet Dog Tavern. And I will say that beginning in June of last year, we never experienced the noise and disruption to our peace and quiet that we experienced from El Teco. Beginning in June, approximately June 28th of last year, going through November into December, almost every weekend, sometimes beating Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even Sunday afternoon, we could hear DJ and loud music coming from El Teco inside our residence. And we are north, up and around the corner off of Florida Avenue here in a residential street. In our house, doors and windows closed, at all hours, to the point where my wife couldn't sleep, I couldn't sleep, and my kids could not sleep. We, again, called Abra almost every weekend, sometimes twice a weekend, about this issue. We also tried to work with Commissioner Lopez about this. And I appreciate council's comments, stating that the proprietor is willing to work with the community. To be honest, I haven't seen that. I know that in July of last year, Commissioner Lopez, and I have the email exchange, reached out to the proprietor, making him aware of these noise issues. We were told that he's working on sound issues to try to address the issue, and he understands it. And then again in September, after nothing seemed to change, Commissioner Lopez again reached out to the proprietor about the noise issue from the community. And again, no comment about, saying, look, this is a real issue. You have to make some change. No changes were made. And common sense, I'm not a sound engineer, but if you look at the way with its location, you'll look at how it's constructed, you can't have an open air nightclub in the middle of a residential area. It's just not going to work. There's no way you're going to be able to soundproof that. So I'm a little frustrated when I hear that the proprietor is trying to work with the community because I haven't seen it. He's either unable to do it, and I don't think you can soundproof it, and unwilling as well, because if you really wanted to work with the community, all you had to do is turn down the music. And that's really, at the end of the day, all us people here in the community want. We're happy to have El Teco remain part of the vibrant restaurant community, because that is what it's zoned for. We don't want a nightclub in the middle of our neighborhood, because there's no way for that to comply with the DC laws, regulations, and noise ordinances. And at the end of the day, we are not asking for a lot, commissioners. All we're asking for them, we can't make them care about the community, but all we're asking for them, or make them courteous, all we're asking for is simply follow the rules and regulations like all the other places, like the Royal, like Shaw's Tavern, like Right Proper. How many restaurants did the committee have before it here this evening that had no investigative history, no issues whatsoever? This is not the case with this establishment. Again, and just one final point I'd like to make, this issue of responsibility, which I think is important. The buck has to stop with someone. The buck has to stop with the owner. The issue of a trash issue, that may be a minor issue to some people. It's a major issue to others. On my street, Saturdays and Sunday mornings, there's a lot of trash. My neighbors and I, we didn't make it, but we get up, we go out, we pick it up, we throw it away, because that's how we feel about our community. We don't blame somebody else. We don't make a big deal about it. It's our street. We want to make it nice. It's our community. We're proud of it. And we're going to go out and fix that. And if you really, want to comply with the laws and comply with the rules and regulations, you accept responsibility as the owner, and that's what you're supposed to do. And that's what we're not seeing here. And that is indicative, I think, of the entire attitude toward the community and toward following the rules and regulations, which is all we want.
Thank you very much for the feedback. Thank you very much. So where we are now is that we do not have the commissioner for the single member district here with us this evening. But we do have a recommendation, a motion that he had made at the committee meeting, and Alex Padre, you had told us what that was, that he voted, he moved, and the committee voted to recommend protest. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so
based on the effort impacts on peace, order, and quiet.
Okay, so can I? Does anyone care to make a motion? Mr. Nagro, are you interested in
get the address right here. Where is it?
606.
That's all right. It's on the front. Okay. I move that ANC 6E protest the renewal of the Class C restaurant license for Rito Loco / El Teco, which is located at 606 Florida Avenue Northwest, on grounds of, help me out, Alex.
Adverse impact on peace, order, and quiet.
Say that one more, say the first part again.
Adverse impacts on peace, order, and quiet.
Adverse impact on peace, order, and quiet, and that we report this to ABRA.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded by Patrick. Discussion. And all in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Did we get Kevin as an aye on that?
Yes.
Okay, we did. All right. Thank you very much. We are voting to protest the renewal of the liquor license. Thank you. On to the other items on the agenda.
What about 15?
That was 15.
Oh, that was 15. Okay, sorry.
Now we're down to 23.
Okay.
Did we miss the AC Hotel?
We're actually looping back onto that now, I believe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All
right. Yeah, I can grab it from here. I want to call out to see if there is a representative from the AC Hotel on the line. it's actually not essential that they are, but I just wanted to see if there are. Okay, it doesn't seem like that. I think probably Louis has his hand up from before. Okay, so the commission will recall that we voted to protest the liquor license of the AC Hotel on, again, the adverse effect on peace, order, and quiet in the neighborhood. I believe that was back in May. I'm happy to report that I have reached a settlement agreement with the AC Hotel, which I think gets us it finds a good middle ground between, their needs as an operating business and our needs as a community. I'm happy to share my screen and project it, or I can just describe it. What's the best way?
The most efficient way, expeditious way.
We're running out of time here.
Okay, I'm happy to just summarize it. And just for the public record, I mean, the settlement agreement is modeled after all of the settlement agreements that we have in Mount Vernon Triangle. It's very standard for businesses to have it. It's a very dense neighborhood with a lot of businesses that operate in it. Essentially, the businesses agreed to cut the hours back for their outdoor activities, especially. And that's a big part of noise. So they are agreeing to cut their hours back an hour from what they currently are. My personal favorite line in the settlement agreement, and I think that this should be honestly DC law, but essentially, if you hear, let me see if I can quickly, noise emanating from the licensed premises that is audible in any residential premises is prohibited. I think that's the winning line. Basically, if you've got your doors and your windows closed at home, you shouldn't have to hear, music coming from your restaurant or your nightclub next door or down the street. And that's basically where we get with the settlement agreement. There's a line about they can use DJs up to a maximum of 6 times per year. When DJ activity must cease by 10 p.m. under those conditions. So it's a lot of that kind of thing. And I think it's reasonable. Any comments from you guys or any community concerns?
I'm not seeing any, so want to make a motion, Patrick?
Yep.
Well, and I believe, Alex Pedro asked me this earlier. Do we have a signed copy of the settlement agreement from the applicant?
Yes, we do. Here's a hiccup. They signed it, but they didn't date it. So I'm going to go back to Steve O'Brien and make him put a literal date on it, but it is a signed copy. So I won't send it to you, Michael, probably tonight, but you'll get it tomorrow or hopefully soon. I move that ANC 6E adopt the settlement agreement for the AC Hotel Washington, DC Convention Center located at 106 K Street Northwest and transmit it to Abra.
And we also need to support the renewal or do we have to retract the protest or do we support the renewal? What's the right thing, Alex Pedro?
No, so first of all, you got the digits a little scrambled at 601 K Street.
Okay.
And yes, you can incorporate rescinding the protest into the same motion.
Okay, so let me try it again. I move that ANC 6E rescind its protest of the renewal of Class C hotel license for the AC Hotel Washington, DC Convention Center located at 601 K Street Northwest and adopt a settlement agreement and transmit it to Abra.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All right, Commissioner Rogers seconds. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's 5. All right, congrats. Got 5. On to the next item. Alex Pedro.
Thank you, and I'm going to be sharing a PowerPoint in a moment so we can go through this quickly. Thank you, commissioners. This evening, Shaw Main Streets is seeking support for a letter of support for an FY23 DC Commission of the Arts and Humanities Arts Building Communities grant to install 2 murals in ANC 6E. Now, these are included on a group of other murals, and I'm trying to see how to advance this slide. Here we go.
You could just try using your right arrow key.
Yeah, I was trying that, and it's not doing it. So I may have to do it the hard way, or try sharing a PDF instead. Hang on a second. Apologize. I thought we were doing this thing a quick way. We'll do it this way. So, as I mentioned, we have an application that we're preparing for. Here we go. For the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities annual grant round for the PABC grants, which the Commission has supported for Shaw Main Streets in the past, and which have resulted in a number of murals in the neighborhood. Most recently, the FY21 murals that have been completed are this mural at the gas station, 1317 9th Street Northwest, which is one of the largest murals in the neighborhood. And then this other mural, which is one of the second largest murals in the neighborhood, just over the old 7-Eleven at 7th and Rhode Island Avenue. So the two locations that we're looking at embellishing with murals in this round, if I can get this mouse to here, are located, and then these are the two murals that are currently underway at French Street and on the 17th block of 7th Street to be completed before the end of the fiscal year. So the first of the murals that we're looking at for fiscal year 23 would be a mural that would envelop the entire building at 1816 8th Street Northwest. That's at the southwest corner of 8th and Rhode Island Avenue. And there are two sketches that are currently under consideration, both created by artist Henry Ringgold. This is called Breaking Chains. And this is called Stars and Stripes. So the idea is to create a lively counterpoint on what is otherwise a rather drab corner and an otherwise rather innocuous intersection. There is a liquor store that's located on the ground floor of the building. It is residential above. And we're working with the property owner to come up with a final design that accommodates the property owner's interests. And then second, this was brought to our attention by Commissioner Eichler. This is right above the Roasted Boon at 11th and Rhode Island Avenue here on the second story of the adjacent building in 1521, 11th Street Northwest. We've been getting repeated graffiti tags on that second story. And we've reached out to Neocon Adofia, who's one of the best known muralists in Washington, D.C. today. We've done a number of other murals in the neighborhood, and he has responded with a mural that seeks to reflect the fact that across the street is the Shaw Recreation Center. So we've got youth, we've got sporting activities, we've got nature, and this mural and the other mural would be coated with an anti-graffiti coating that would prevent graffiti from being applied, and also to make any possible graffiti residue easy to remove without damaging the mural underneath. So those are two of about 6 projects that are being proposed. Those are the only 2 out of the group that are located in ANC 6E. And I will stop sharing the screen at this point.
Any questions from
the questions?
Any questions from commissioners or the community? I just have, one quick question, which is, do murals like this tend to, uplift the neighborhood? I mean, that corner of 8th and Rhode Island is pretty trashy, like literally there's just garbage like on the corners and the tree boxes. Is this something that we think could help improve with that quality of life, or is this just lipstick on the pig?
No. I mean, the business owner has been making some significant investments in the interior of the business. He's going to be receiving a grant to do some signage. So this would be, part of the suite of interventions to try to improve the business activity on the corridor. And we have been working very closely with him to reinstill the fact that it is his responsibility to maintain the cleanliness of the area, despite the fact that it is rather heavily trafficked. So yes, the objective is to try to beautify that corner, and we will continue to work with the business operator there, as well as Roasted Boom, to try to help them understand their responsibilities and help to keep showing you.
Great. So no comments from the commissioners. Any comments from the community about this? This is a grant application, correct?
Correct.
Right. So I actually didn't quite update my notes with the exact verbiage. So this is for which program?
This is the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities Public Art Building Communities, FY23.
Okay, so I will go ahead and make the motion that ANC 6C support Shaw Main Street's application for the DC Commission of the Arts Building Communities FY23 grant program. And if I can get a second.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded by Frank. Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's 5. Thank you very much. And thank you, Alex. If you wouldn't mind just sending me a quick email with the verbiage I'm supposed to use for this, since I don't seem to have it on my notes today.
Happy to do so. Thank you for your support, Commissioner.
Sure thing. And thank you for helping us out here with these 2 little trouble spots in 6001. All right, so the next item, and hopefully the last item of major substance, is 25, Mount Vernon SID application for DC Commission on Arts and Humanities FY23. Oh, I have the same words for the different item. I just should have used it for this item. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, so it looks like there's some competition here. Are we allowed to support both?
You are.
Kidding.
It's
Okay,
all good.
Great. Kenyatta, go ahead and tell us what you've got for us.
Yeah, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Fine, thanks.
And please promote in Mei Lee. She's on the call as well. She's the artist.
There we go. Thank you.
And like Alex before me, we aim to end the meeting on a high note with some uplifting art. And we both can be supported for this. So we too come to the commission. It's that time of the year to ask for your support for our application to the DC Commission on Arts and Humanities for the Public Art Building Communities Grant. I have with me here our partner on this project, artist Mei Lee. May, unmute yourself. We can't hear you, May.
She's unmuted, but her audio isn't coming through.
Is that better?
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. Nice to see everybody here tonight. I live and work in DC, and I'm part of the CBE program here for public arts and design in DC. And I've worked with Kenyatta on a couple of cool projects in the neighborhood, and I hope to be able to produce something really cool for the neighborhood and something that the neighbors can be proud of.
All right. So we have a quick presentation we want to walk everyone through. So I'll share my screen.
I would just say emphasis on quick, please.
Yes, understood. It's that time of night. Can everyone see that?
Yes, we can.
All right. So May and I will sort of tag team. So we just introduced May. She's a local artist here in DC. You see she's been involved in projects relating to the Cherry Blossom campaign last year, producing one of the commemorative chairs that you see around the city. It's been written up in a number of publications. Has done some work with us in the past, the property at 444 K Street, where we did this supposedly quick intervention for a window that a brick found its way through. We wanted to animate that space with public art. It actually ended up being on the window for about a full year until we just removed it recently. The proposed site location, it's the 400 block of K Street near 4th and K Streets Northwest in front of Liberty and Apartments, in front of the Joe and the Juice. There was a previous piece of public art there in the past at that location within the tree box that was actually approved by this commission. And we received a grant from the city to put an art piece there a couple of years ago that's since been removed. Urban forestry has allowed us to retain that pad. If we are successful in receiving this grant, we will have to re-engage with them to show them the design of this art, how much it'll weigh, whether or not it'll encumber the critical tree zone, the critical root zone. But anything within that circle has been deemed to be outside of the critical root zone. So we believe that this should be approved by urban forestry if we are to receive this grant. So Rochelle, to your question a couple of months ago on Instagram, when we said we're going to put another piece of art here, this is that piece of art. May, I'll let you take it from here with the precedent images.
Sure. So we started to look at some precedents that would allow this site to be dynamic in the daytime and change at night and change throughout the day with sunlight, reflections, movement, and then at night it's going to glow and it will spin around. So this is a type of material that we were thinking of using, something that light can be reflected through. And it's a prism, so it's acrylic. And it could be faceted. And, you know, since it's Mount Vernon triangle, I figured it might be kind of cool to use the triangular shape and create something iconic on this property. Next slide. So this, again, is that prism material that is reflective, and it has, you know, rainbows and different kind of qualities when the light hits it. And if it's spinning around slowly, it will change throughout the day. It could be very Instagrammable, and it could be a, you know, a destination point for visitors in the area and also residents alike. Next slide. So this is the proposed art. It's going to be, you know, a giant heart, and it's faceted, and each piece is created by triangles. The height will be roughly 7 feet tall, 7 to 7.6 feet tall, just big enough so if you're standing next to it, you know, it's kind of larger than you are. So it's a great backdrop. And it hinges on a piece at the bottom that will enable it to spin around, and we can illuminate it from the inside as well. Next slide. So this is what it would look like in the site. Because there are some tree canopies there, I wanted something that was a little bit more vibrant, something that you can see from within the building, above the building, kind of as you're biking, you know, next to it, if you're having lunch. It could be a really interesting piece, and it symbolizes kind of the heart of the city. So Mount Vernon Triangle can be the heart of the city. And next slide, please. So, you know, we can kind of brand it as heart of the district, heart of DC. And, you know, this kind of feeling, you know, it doesn't have to be love if it's heart, but it's, you know, it's kind of, it's really nice. It's all inviting, it's all inclusive. And it could be a really cool piece that is memorable and definitely iconic. Kenyatta, do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. So as May mentioned, you know, how we reference it on Instagram, on social media, for the neighborhood, for anyone passing by it, the Heart Public Art installation. And in terms of materials, and May and I'll tag team on this, it's about 7 feet tall, with a base that's about 5 to 6 feet wide. Acrylic plexiglass with a prism finish for daytime illumination, some LED lighting for nighttime illumination, steel frame, a concrete base with footings to secure the piece to the ground, with a steel tube to enable it to spin. There is power within that tree box, so that is possible to have it spin, and then it'll be weatherproofed as well. And we do anticipate that upon receiving a grant award, we will have to engage with a structural engineer for load and wind analysis. We did this for the last project as well. And we will have to get approval from DDOT Urban Forestry and a Public Space Committee. Those processes can take approximately 6 to 9 months. And so we built that into the timeline as well. And at this point, any questions you may have? Thank you.
Questions from commissioners? Any questions from the community? Patrick?
Yeah, I'll just say, and in the interest of time, I'm happy to support this project based on this presentation and Kenyatta conversation you and I had on it a couple of days ago. So I'm happy to make the motion if no other commissioners have comments.
Go for it.
Seeing none, I will move that ANC 6E support the Mount Vernon Triangle Community Improvement District's FY 2023 Arts and Humanities Public Art Building Communities Grant application and communicate that support to the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Kevin, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, another 5. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you all.
Okay. Frank.
All right. We began the month of June with $68,179.53 in the bank. We closed the month out with $67,829.90 in the bank. 2 checks cleared the bank of $250 to Karen and $99.63 to Michael. The check to Rochelle has not cleared the bank yet, but we have conversed about that, she and I. So the balance at present is $67,829.90. I move that ANC support based off the materials that I've sent you previously tonight or this morning. So you can see the actual documents that I've printed from the bank, as well as the treasurer's report of our expenses for this past month. It also coincides with the Excel spreadsheet that's utilized by myself and the Office of ANC with the same balance for it. Once Rochelle's checks clear, we'll be at $67,766.30. Also, in lieu of time, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we accept the treasury report as being true and accurate. We also want to move or make a motion that we pay Rochelle $68.26 for her FedEx reimbursement of flyers made, reimbursement to Michael Eichler for $99.63 for the payment of Zoom for this meeting for this month, and to Karen $250 for taking the minutes and for the maintenance of the website, provided we can get a second.
We have a second.
All in favor?
Sorry, who seconded?
Who seconded?
I second.
Kevin did. Okay.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that looks like it's unanimous.
Okay.
5 for the treasurer's report and the expenses. Thank you so much for combining those into one and knocking it all out.
No
So,
problem.
any announcements from commissioners? Any announcements from the community? Okay, so the next meeting is going to be Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. Have a great August, and we'll see you in the early fall. Thank you, everyone.
Happy summer.
We got a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Be
All right.
safe, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.